Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. I am Michael Petrow, and on the show this week, it's just me and my new friend, special effects master Marc Reichel. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to give you this episode. I've been wanting to talk to Marc for a while. Our paths cross in the day job stuff, and Marc has been in the industry. Let's see here. Let's scroll all the way down to the earliest part. 2001. He's been around for 20 years as special effects technician, special effects department head, pyrotechnician, you name it. Anything that goes on with the special of effects, he's been a part of. What films has he worked on, you ask? Well, let's see here. Off the top of my head, Arrival, Denis Villeneuve's sci-fi alien movie. Call to Chucky, filmed in Manitoba. Channel Zero, also filmed in Manitoba, that really wacky sci-fi series that took creepypastas from Reddit and turned them into an actual series of television. Tales from the Loop, that hard, deep sci-fi cut on Amazon. Run, featuring Sarah Paulson, also filmed in Manitoba. And most recently, 87 North's Violent Night, starring David Harbour. John Leguizamo, he got to do the special effects on that. That's the movie that's going to redesign what you think a Christmas film should be, by the way. Also filmed in Manitoba, if I didn't already say that. So that's what we get to talk about. Some of those films. Plus, we go back to the start of his career, how he made his bones in Montreal and then found his way to Manitoba and has been working here ever since because he knows how awesome the film is or the province is for film. Scrap that, reverse it. Anyway, so that's who's on the show. That's what's on the show. I'm just really excited for this episode. He's full of tons of kindness and knowledge and loves to blow shit up. So if you're interested in the movie making magic stuff like we are here, this is a great episode to tune in on. If this is your first time, head backwards. We got a big catalog for being such a young podcast. And listen to the end. We have a little bit of an end credit that says how to stay in touch with our world if you like the show and how to support it and how to subscribe it. All that podcast jibber jabber that I was shitty at first, you'll notice in the old episodes. Nah, I just hate doing now. We'll let you listen to it, see if you like it, right? We want true fans, we want cinephiles. So that's the show. I got no real updates for you. We've got some Christmas stuff coming. I'm getting over a cold. I don't know if you give a shit about that. Don't get this cough. It just doesn't want to go away. So stay tuned. Subscribe to our Instagram page. Subscribe to the show. We'd love that. If you just subscribe to the show, it's the easiest, freest, cheapest way to support any podcast that you like. There's tons of other Manitoba podcasts too, so if you like them, subscribe. It's that easy, and then we show up each week. You don't have to do any work, and here we are for you, making you laugh the best we can through the world of film and television. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll shut the fuck up. I will cue that reel, give you my new friend Marc Reichel, and we hope you enjoy the show. Marc, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Yeah, okay, now to the show. Bye-bye.
Let's tidy up this tangle of film by putting it on a reel. Here is a motion picture film, 1,000 feet, 16,000 separate photographs.
Welcome everybody to the official space section of the Charter.
What's the truth? You can't handle the truth.
Sir, you're out of order.
Out of order. I show you out of order.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Reel Debaters podcast. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to that place that asks that question. What happens when real life meets real life? I'm one of your hosts, Michael Petrow, and in the room with me is somebody who I think I've been talking to about close to 6 months trying to get you, because you're so fucking busy and you're so in demand and this whole town loves you. Marc Reichel, special effects artist, designer, maker, engineer, the tinker of all things on set. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you for having me. I think it's actually been longer because you know what we all do? We all cancel out the pandemic here. We just don't think about it.
You're right.
Because I think I think the conversation started on nobody when I just kept, I need something, and it was just, well, if you got some free, sure, and then boom.
Yeah.
Pandemic.
And the thing about this is you're one of the people who I'm so lucky to get to talk to when I get the phone call. Like when you call me, it's like, hey, what are you doing? Right? What do you I know the lighting and I know what we're doing with the other shit, but what are you doing? What are you blowing up today?
Yeah. I promise I won't break it.
Yeah.
It's usually, it won't be that close. I just need it as an anchor, or I need to drag out the wreckage with it.
Oh, it's so much fun. So, dude, thank you. Yeah, you're right. Cancel out the pandemic years. It's been since Nobody Speaking Of.
Yeah.
Nobody on the Hat.
Go, yeah.
My buddy BJ did the stunt work on that film.
You know what? BJ is such
a mensch.
He is, you know what? I've seen BJ do some stunts, and I was like, ooh. Whoa. And I've seen a lot of people do stunts.
Sure, yeah.
But I've seen BJ do some stuff, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
bendy motherfucker. We all knew.
Yeah, youth, it's a beautiful thing.
It is a very beautiful thing. Good hips, good back.
Yeah.
I was in musical theater with BJ in high school. I tell the story all the time, like he's going to go somewhere, and I'm like, I knew him before. I knew him when he was Conrad Birdie and Bye Bye Birdie. But he's been destined for set life ever since I knew him. So, and he's such a good guy. I'm trying to get him back on the show for the return, but he's like you guys. You're all fucking so busy. It's great. That's a good thing in this province, right? In Manitoba film, like
I think it's a good thing in film in general.
Sure. Now after the thing we don't talk about happened, yeah.
Yeah, because this is one of those jobs where it's like employment isn't steady.
Yeah, you didn't think it. Yeah,
it's like, but you're working all the time, but yet it's not steady.
It's weird. I would imagine like that's why I kind of like I've stayed as the vendor instead of like I've got all the love. I want to see how the sausage is made. I also am neurodivergent, so who knows? It could be 3 weeks, and I'm like, fuck this shit. I don't know if I'm built for it, but like it I can't imagine that. Like I have a job every day. I get up, I go to work, come home, it's done. Right? You have a job until it's done, and then hope for another job. That's a certain type of person.
Yeah, it's funny because you get into this weird. I mean, I don't know if every film person does, but I know a lot of people, it's like, fuck, I need a vacation, man. I need a vacation. Show ends. You either take that vacation right away.
Morning after.
Or you're like, fuck, when am I going to work again? I can't afford to take a vacation. I got a mortgage. I got a shop that I'm paying for. I shouldn't have bought those fans. I shouldn't have bought those smoke machines. Oh, man, what am I doing? And then you panic. And then all of a sudden you're complaining that, why am I working 90 hours a week?
That's human, I think, though. I think that no matter what, we're at work, we're like, why are we not busy? And then we're too busy, and I'm like, fuck, why aren't we slower, right? Like you're never fucking happy.
No.
So, reason you're here, I wanted to do a profile on you. I've seen all the work you've done. I think out of everybody who I've talked to, your movies I've seen the most. The stuff that you've done in your department, I would probably recognize faster than everybody else, just because I love big blow up, bang, shoot 'em up, cheesy gore, like, and you play in all those categories.
You know what? I've done movies that are like, like I worked on Head of the Clouds. Have I seen it? And I didn't work on all Head of the Clouds. They came to Montreal. We did a World War II flashback. There's a bomber run. We did a bunch of explosions in the snow, some shit like that. But it's one of those movies like, oh, you worked on Head of the Clouds. You're like, yeah. But for me, that's whatever.
That's passé,
I mean, I have way more fun when it's, hey, Mark, how many bullets can we shoot today? How many people can we throw through windows? How many times can we blow that up, or what?
Yeah, no, I get it, and I think it's such a coveted position for the fan, because we know that a lot of crazy shit between you and the stunt department is where movie magic starts to take place, and the trickery of the eye and all that, right? Where you get down to like, oh, that's how you did that, or oh, that's really what that is, right? And you learn that it might have been a miniature, right? And you're just filming these tiny little things that are Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
Prime example, right? I always thought that was a real life-sized Marshmallow Man.
Yeah, I thought it was a dude in a suit running around for the longest time.
Yeah, and then you find out it's the toy that you have in your fucking toy chest.
Yep.
That they used on set, and you're like, oh, this is so crazy. So, first things first, with everybody, it's kind of fun to know how. And there's been some crazy stories, and there's been some natural progressions. How'd you get in a film? What was your gateway?
Well, I'm second generation film.
Ah, okay.
But
so pressure.
No, actually. The exact opposite. My father's in film.
Okay.
Was in film. He's now passed, but he was in film. He did some shit, I mean,
what do you do?
He built the Popeye Village in Malta.
Oh.
So we were in Malta. As a little baby, not a little baby, but a child. Exactly. Do
you remember those forearms?
I don't, but my mom and stuff has some really great stories of what a nice man Robin Williams was, and just how that was a show. And I think, total sideline, I think that show, had it come out later, in like the time of the 300s and that was really the precursor to the live action comic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
And you watch it now and it works, whereas back in the day it was just a total fucking coke raging show.
It's such a shame when shit's too early.
Yeah.
right? When the times aren't ready for it, but the ideas are there and the masses and the ether, it doesn't absorb it like it does 50, 60 years later. And we're looking at Robin Williams just getting going, like really in film, right? Like this is after Mork and Mindy. This is after, all the stuff that we've known of him. And you're just like, this is so over the top. But now, after watching, if you put 300 in that on screen, I'd be like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, Sin City, all of those, that genre of this weird fantasy background. Even, you know what? I'll even say the first Batman.
Sure.
Tim Burton's Batman falls into that line of bringing you into a whole new universe.
A whole new world.
Exactly. That's not... It's
not contemporary.
It's not contemporary. It's not period. It's not anything. It's its own.
Yeah.
It stands alone.
And it fit.
Yeah.
It really did. The shit that Michael Keaton wasn't the best Batman was the huge thing. And that's when you had to write a letter.
Whoa. He was a great Batman.
Oh, I am Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Like when you talk James Bond and when you talk Batman, I am Michael Keaton and I am Roger Moore. Just kidding, I'm Sean Connery.
Okay.
But it's for Russia, man.
He's the second best Bond. No, you know what?
Scotland forever.
Yeah.
It's him and Craig.
You know what? I know it's controversial, but I liked the Pierce Brosnan era.
I did too. I
really liked the Pierce Brosnan era.
Why did you like it?
Because it had all the elements of the Sean Connery era. It had the super cool Q gadgets.
Yep.
But they were just... It's like Next Generation versus original Star Trek.
They're both good, but...
They're both good, but production value is way higher in the new one.
It's funny what a couple million will do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 20 years worth of technology.
No shit. Still the same fucking replicator, but it's just making way cooler shit now.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. Like the campiness that came from Pierce Brosnan's Bond was exactly that charm and manliness that you got from Connery.
Yeah.
He was too metrosexual with Moore, in my opinion. He was just too dainty, right? Like I didn't trust myself in a scenario with Moore, but Connery or Brosnan I would. And like the Xenia on a top, strongest legs, and GoldenEye. Like right out of the gate, it was so just championing the old Bond.
That off the damn airplane.
Oh right.
And he's got
get fucked, right? It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's just from a period where we have money. Let us show you how much money we have. It's kind of like my beef with Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, there's too much helicopter shit.
A lot of sweeping over-the-top shots, yeah.
You pull out that 45 minutes, it's an hour and a half long movie now, and it's totally watchable.
Yeah.
But it's like that fuck you money.
Yeah.
We got a helicopter 90 days out of a 400-day shoot, 90 days we're in a helicopter.
It's a long take. It's those how big is my dick director shit where I'm going to try to it's James Cameron in the helicopter actually flying the fucking helicopter as the cameraman going under the overpass in Terminator 2.
Yes.
It's that kind of shit.
Exactly.
Don't tell me I can't. I'm going to fucking do it. This is how.
Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you like Tom Cruise or not, whether you like Mission Impossible or not, the fact of the matter is, dude hung out of a motherfucking real airplane while it was flying.
Yeah.
Dude climbed up the side of a building with suction cups and shit. He does his own motorcycle and driving shit because the stunt coordinator's like, well, do you want my best driver? Well, then it's Tom.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's one of the best runners in film.
He does run well.
He runs well,
Daniel Craig's a good runner, too.
Steven Seagal can't run for shit.
Some people just are angled too far forward. Or
have weird arm shit.
Yeah, like you have to run like you're dancing. Like it's a performance in the way that if your arms are moving faster than your legs, you look funny. Vice versa, if your legs aren't moving faster than your arms, you're not running.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, when he comes whipping around a corner in Mission Impossible as Ethan Hunt in the first one.
And the arms are working,
right?
And it's like track star.
Yeah, Usain Bolt is coming around the corner to cross the 100. No, we're digressing.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's my fault, not yours. You're fun because you can do the back and forth shit that definitely derails a podcast. So Dad's in film.
Yeah, Dad's in film. Dad then went on to become a production manager Worked on shows like Quest for Fire.
We all watched that in
school. Quest for Fire, Children of a Lesser God.
Okay.
Then he went on to produce. He did TV shows like Reboot.
Your dad did Reboot?
My dad did Reboot. I have his doorstops, as he referred to them, on my mantle.
Wow. I grew up on Reboot. Like, one of the funnest first real 3D shows that like was light years ahead of everything that you could do at the time, and so much fun. Built in a computer program, right? Like
and in Vancouver, all done in Vancouver.
Really?
Mainframe Studios out in Vancouver. I remember my dad took me out there, and it was like you had to do, what was it, 30 seconds a week as an editor, as an animator. That was your quota. And if you did more frames over, I think it was something like they gave you $1,000 a frame over your allotted thing. These guys had beds in their offices and all that.
Wow.
And it was like raw. Computers were big, and
it took forever to render a file.
I mean, it was the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, when we think about that, was almost 30 years ago.
Like the turn of digital.
Yeah.
Right? Like really when digital and music and film are starting to present themselves, and everyone's like, what's this digital shit? I'm going to shoot on cans. And you're like, not anymore, are you? You want to have 12 takes like David Fincher? You're going to shoot on film, digital.
Yeah. And so he also he produced Black Robe. Okay. He produced Crash.
Crash is in
the weird crash.
The sex and car crash.
Yes, the sex and car crash.
David Cronenberg, right?
Cronenberg,
yeah.
Yes.
No, that's James Spader.
And
Elfman? Is that no?
What's her name? Oh man, I'm horrible with names.
So am I.
Can recognize
It's
faces.
my show. It's even worse if I don't. Don't worry about it.
So he was in film, and I remember I got my.
You're a set baby, essentially.
Yes, I remember, and my parents were divorced, so my free time was spent when I would see my father. It was, hey, these are grips. You're going to hang out with them today. He'll do whatever you tell him. If he gives you any sass, feel free. Right?
Wow, he threw you to the wolves.
Yeah, I mean.
And that's old school filmmaking.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that was, late 80s, early 90s.
Apple boxes, waiting for the next take.
Yeah, all that. And so my first kind of real paying gig was on Black Robe. I was working in the wardrobe department. And I wasn't making quota. I wasn't very good. And he shit fucking canned me. Fired me on the spot. She called the production costume designer, called my dad and said, listen, he's not very good. He's a bit of a distraction. And so fire him. Fuck it, he's done. Right? So I think my father made it very clear that the nepotism flag
wasn't flying.
Wasn't flying. And so then I was like, fuck you, I'm not working in film anymore. This is stupid. I got fired by my dad.
Yeah.
So I, finished high school, this, that, but always had this
itch.
Passion and itch. Like, I was one of those kids that would take shit apart. I get a remote control car, I take it apart. How does this work? Right? I remember taking apart G.I. Joes, and if you unscrewed the thighs, you could put different boots on different people. You open up the chest.
Wow,
you
your toy game is strong.
You could put you could put Duke's head on Destro's body, and you could give people different arms.
Put Cobra on Sergeant Slaughter.
Exactly. Right. And then you know what? You take a little bit of time, a little bit of model glue on this one in a match, and he looks like he's running away on fire. So I'd set up the little dioramas in the yard and shit.
Oh, you were destined for this shit.
Yeah. I've always loved the effects because it's kind of like a bit of this, a bit of that. And as an ADD OCD person,
oh, I see you.
Which is a very dangerous mix.
We're fucking oil and water, but when we light,
yeah, yeah. So then I had a regular job, and I lost that job, and I called my old man, and we were chatting, and he goes, well, there's an opportunity here if you're interested.
Gonna fire me, Dad?
So I got a job. Well, first I called the gentleman who was looking for an assistant. And I'm going to call this man my first real film boss. And you have to remember, this is the 90s, so there was no digital really. So I got a job as a still photographer's assistant with a still photographer named Takashi Seda. I still call this man boss today when I see him.
Nice.
He was the coolest greatest boss. He for a first boss, this is exactly what you wanted.
What was so great about him?
He was so chill. And I mean, my job was I'd carry his bag, I'd clean his cameras, I'd clean his lenses, I'd hold lights, set shit up, and then every day when we got the contact sheets from the day before, because there was no digital, right?
Yeah,
I take it
everything's-
to the lab, you get the contact sheet.
You sit there with the little thing,
Oh
right?
no, he'd sit there with the little
Sorry,
thing.
sorry.
I'd go through
Sorry,
with
Takeshi.
just a marker, and if it wasn't in focus, exit out. So I do the preliminary run of everything and X out, and then he'd go through and he'd pick them, and then we'd send them to the publicist and the producer and the director to get approved. Then they would get printed.
And these are all the shots that go in all the marketing material,
All the
that
promo,
gets sent to
yeah.
all the magazines and whatnot.
And early on, so my first job, I call them up and I heard you're looking for an assistant. Do you have any experience? I go, well, yes, I got fired off Black Robe from the costume department. He goes, funny, that's my ex-wife.
I'd love to hire you.
Bingo, I got the job. So where we do? Well, we're going to start in Amsterdam.
Sure.
And
Why
then
not,
we're
bud?
going to go to Germany. And then turns out we're going to take a little side trip to Paris because,
As one does. It's right there.
Yeah, it's, so I remember flying to Amsterdam, getting there, meeting them, just, okay, so this, that. And then they're like, so we got to fly you guys to Paris because we need a picture of a skyline.
Those exist everywhere.
But they wanted
Paris.
So he and I
Fucking
hopped back on
money.
a plane, and we got hotel money, and we got per diem money, and we got grease money.
And you got fat and drunk.
We did. Well, him no, me yes. Me yes. We had to go eat at this fancy restaurant. He called an actress friend of his to get us into this exclusive restaurant on top of this building called Club Golf. It had a rooftop driving range and shit.
Nice.
But it happened to have this beautiful vista to take this picture.
Okay.
So you got to go and you got to spend a bunch of money on food and
Cristal,
wine and
mussels.
yeah, and then
oysters.
and then take as many pictures as you want.
Yeah.
And so that was cool and everything like that. And then as the show progressed, I was getting bored. I'm like, but by the time you do this and do that,
After a while, it's, yeah.
you're like, okay, what? So I got another 8 hours here on set. I'll
am I
carry
doing?
his camera, but he wasn't one of those guys. He was like, no, I got my stuff. You just kind of,
Do you.
Yeah. So I ended up semi-quitting and getting a job as an AD because they were short-staffed.
This is the 90s.
Yeah. It was just jump around.
I'm glad you answered my question. Have you jumped around from department to department? Yes.
So this is the late 90s. It's Europe. They're already paying for me to be there. I speak English. I speak French. Great. He can talk to people. So I got a job as like a third AD. And still, anytime there was
Shooting
photo
B-roll,
shoot,
right? And
anytime he needed help doing the photo shit, I'd just run over there anyway.
only on a film set can you go from learning from this great boss that you have to playing in another department and then going back to that. Like, that's such fucking freedom that you don't get in a cubicle.
No. And so, yeah. This one time we were doing this gallery shoot with him, and I broke the camera.
Hey.
Hasselblad rented. Big, fancy, large format. And I forgot that the lens double clicks.
So you just...
I single clicked it, wasted the first round like I'd supposed to be.
Yeah.
But the heat of the moment, I forgot to double click. Camera's jammed open. I was expected to be torn to pieces by Takeshi. He goes, Mark, it's mechanical. These things happen. It's no big deal. We'll work through it. Made me so mad. I would have rather he cussed me out because then I could be like, what the fuck, this guy? No, I felt tiny. So for the whole rest of that night, I was battling to fix this fucking thing.
No kidding.
Yeah, but
that's the disappointed parent versus the angry parent.
yeah, and it was disappointment, but it was like,
Shame?
no, it was like, these things happen. You're gonna encounter these stumbling blocks. going forward in your career. And he didn't say it, but that was like, it's a technical issue.
It's implied.
Let's just figure out what we do to move forward, and let's not focus on that. Let's not let that trip us up in our progression.
Yeah, Endgame is a lot
Yeah,
more than just
exactly.
this little thing right now.
Yeah, so I won't get the shots with the beautiful large format. I still have 6 other fucking cameras in my bag.
Man, that's such a good, like, that's an is what it is person. And those are the deadliest ones. It is what it is. We're going to try. We're going to see what we can do, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
Man, that's lucky. Like, it's everybody's movie life is always a fucking movie in and of itself. Like, it's a fairy tale of, and I guess it's that world. You're building fairy tales. You're building make-believe. So your adventure into it is as magical as something that Walt Disney can create, right? And that's the romance in it, because you're all romantic, crazy fucks at the end of the day, right? Doesn't matter what department you're in. You love the drama.
You have to be crazy to work in this industry. It's whether it's all out visual crazy, like people think, oh, this person's crazy, or it's we don't know what this person does when they go home.
Yeah.
Do they pluck their beard with tweezers? Crazy. But so
what are you saying? What are you saying? That's what I do.
So the first AD on that show, this dude named Chaba Bola. He was the first AD on Fargo and some other shit. So kind of a 90s dude, right?
Yeah.
He gets this show in Hungary because he's Hungarian and he speaks Hungarian for HBO NYC, when it was called HBO NYC.
Wow, that's pre my time.
And it was called When Trumpets Fade. It was a World War II movie directed by John Irvin, who did Dogs of War and Hamburger Hill and Widow's
Big war maker, big war filmmaker.
Big war maker. Yeah, A City of Industry. But
I love
also
Hamburger Hill.
Also shit like Widow's Peak. And you're like, what? And then he had Joe Lombardi was your special effects coordinator. Now, Joe Lombardi was responsible for The Godfather, was responsible for Apocalypse Now.
Oh.
Like, this guy was
Francis's favorite.
Yeah, he was like, as a kid and I wasn't in the effects department then, but that
was who you were watching.
Yeah. And just chatting with him at night over, because again, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. We're in the late 90s in Hungary in winter in this town called Balaton-Füred, which is a summer resort town. It's Europe's largest landlocked lake.
Oh,
is there?
You're in the Manitoba of Hungary.
Exactly. I'm in the Manitoba of Europe. Right.
Wow.
I'm in the Manitoba of Europe.
How the fuck does that happen?
But in the summer, this town is supposedly like 150,000 people.
It's Kenora.
In the winter, 10,000 people.
Sure.
So they had to open up hotels for us and this and that. So
you were in the Amityville
yeah,
of Hungary.
Yeah. So you're like, fuck it. Who else? So you just chat and you get to, and he had the greatest story.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had the greatest stories. And it was truly one of those moments where you got to hang out with someone who's, I know what you've done. Like, your work is important to me. It affected my life to the point of saying, that's what I want. I want to do that.
That's the biggest compliment, that what you do makes me want to change everything in my life to learn how to do that. That's how inspirational you are to me.
And that was my first time seeing really huge special effects live. Like feeling the heat, hearing the crack, smelling the smells, and
it became visceral.
Yeah, because I look, anything I'd seen before wasn't on that size or scale. I'd never been on a war movie, and this was my first war movie, and it was awesome. I mean, we burned 30,000 car tires to block out the sun.
That's nuts.
It was Eastern Europe in the 90s.
And you could.
The dollar went a long way.
The dollar did go a long way. There was no environmental protection. There were so many things that you could do. And I mean, all good and well for climate change. We are on that. We're that show. We do appreciate it. But at the same time, art, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, to block out the sun.
That's when you get a direction to I want you to block out the sun. Okay, we'll figure it out. Like that alone,
Yeah.
the creative juices start flowing. What burns that can block out the sun? How many of that do we need to block out the sun?
So I'm ADing now there and everything, and my father calls me up and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, "Well, I'm on this show." Oh, sorry, bring it back. So when I start this show, I go into the producer's office, production manager, sorry, to go negotiate my contract. I go, "So I'm here to negotiate." He goes, "Oh, it's already been done." I go, No, I just got here. No. When I saw your name, I said, "I know a Reichel. I worked with him on Hunchback of Notre Dame with Selma Hayek a few years back." So I called him and I said, "Is this your son?" And he went, "Yes." And he told me to pay you this amount of money and not a penny more because you're not worth it yet.
Wow, your dad got you lowest tier in the fucking
Oh, fuck lowest tier. Non-union local money. I was making... Now, granted, it was the 90s. It was Eastern Europe. And I was still green as shit. I was only getting like $75 a day.
Oh, my God, and you were getting humped like you were getting...
But, you know, U.S.
Sure, yeah.
Over there, my apartment was only costing me $75 US a month.
Oh, one
So
day of work,
I was
yeah.
like, okay,
Sure.
right? But yeah, so clearly just making sure that nepotism tree
Yeah.
was never going to grow.
Do you appreciate that now, looking
Yeah,
back?
totally.
Like I know in the moment none of us would, but I'm getting to the point where I'm old enough to be like, okay, Mom, yeah, that was good on you, right? Like you learn, you just start, the thing in life hits you, and you're like, okay, so like knowing that your dad was like, I'm not going to make this easy, so that you never think you have it easy street. That changes a person's perspective.
Also to make sure the passion was there.
As in, are you doing this because you love it, or are you doing this because you can
It's
get paid?
easy.
Yeah, it's
right?
easy.
It's easy to be the producer's son.
Sure.
It's so easy to be the producer's son.
That's the title of your movie, by the way.
You know, it's like everyone's just like,
Well,
oh, he's there because he's the producer's son. Oh, he's there because he's...
It's a grenade. They all just back the fuck away as soon as they see you.
So I think by him doing it, he made sure that everyone knew, right?
Fuck around and find out.
And it keeps going. It keeps going. So he calls me up and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, we're about to wrap up this show and everything." And then I thought I'd stay in Europe and find the next one. He goes, "Listen, come back to Montreal. There's lots of stuff starting up. We'll get you in here." Okay. So I pack up my shit and
For $75 a day.
yeah, and yeah. And I fly back to Montreal, and I'm there.
Yeah.
And my first couple of jobs, I can't get into the union, right? I got a bit of shit, but no. So I worked as like the receptionist at the front desk at the production office for like when the real receptionist would take her breaks, I'd be like that fill-in person.
You're like a seat filler at the
I
Oscars.
I was an Oscar seat filler, yeah. And, I'd have to answer the phone and I'd have to announce when the Roach coach came by and shit like that. And then I got a job as a producer / production manager's assistant.
Okay, all right.
Both dudes that were kind of under mentorship of my dad kind of slipped because, you have an office PA, but he's going to be...
It's
this is
coffee
yours.
and donuts and pencils and paper.
And go get my caviar and my cigars and
my beluga caviar and my cohibas.
all that shit.
Wow.
And so I negotiate my deal with them. And I remember my old man calls me up. He goes, "So, how's it going?" I go, "Good." He goes, "So did you negotiate a deal?" I went, "Yeah." He goes, "How much are they paying you?" I told him. "Great, son, blah, blah, blah." Hangs up the phone. A little later, the production manager calls me into his office. Guy named Rick Nish. Still talks to him. Great man. He goes, "Mark, I got some bad news." I'm like, "What is it?" He goes, "Your dad called." I'm like, "Fuck." He goes, "Turns out we're paying you too much.
Oh my God.
You're not worth that much yet." And he goes, "I can't slip it to you any other way because he's physically taking it out of the budget. He says that money doesn't exist anymore. Neither does that. So that's it. This is what you're going to get."
My God.
And that's it. And so,
Like
you
it
know,
didn't even get to go on screen in some other capacity. It was like, no, this money is
it
nil.
will never be allocated to this person in any way, shape, or form. So don't try and give him gas money.
Yeah.
Don't try and, you know.
Yeah.
No, it's
Not,
gone.
Not slip it in his per diem,
No,
right?
it's gone. It doesn't exist.
It's out of your pocket, motherfucker.
And that's when I learned one of the most valuable lessons I ever learned in film. Don't tell your old man how much money you make. Keep how much money you make to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't talk salary with any other department. Because you know what? You're going to get upset.
You will. And you make a point. I don't think a lot of people, like, I know this, and I mean the cinephile out there, but I mean, if anybody's listening and it's just catching this because they're curious about special effects, like, you negotiate to get what you're worth. Like, you compare your previous resume to what you did, and you negotiate in that department for a certain wage, and they'll check around and, you know, call and be like, hey, was this guy good on set, blah 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 blah. So, like, that conversation alone is a fucking person without their dad is a tough conversation. Having your fucking dad, you know, holding the penalty box door shut, even though your time's done, that's again checking the passion. Is he here for all the right reasons?
So then I was able to finally get into the union. Not as an assistant director, which I'd started as.
Yeah.
Not as a still photographer's assistant, which I started as. So I got a job in the art department. I am now going to be a scenic technician, a glorified mover. I'm going to go to the antique store. We're going to grab that rare piece you have way at the back of the store that you know for a week we've been coming for. You haven't cleared a fucking pathway for us because you're hoping to hell we bump into 5 or 6 other things and break something so you can charge us or scratch it. And so I did that for a while until I think I did like 10 or 14 shows. I couldn't tell you. I'd have to look. But I did a few. But always,
you got multiple credits on the MDiv. Like, you're in the art department. You're credited as an actor. You're credited as a director. Like, you're
There's some crap in there, right? Like, so I bump into totally weird story. I'm on set in the art department. The special effects guys are there and they're doing wet down. Staple of an effects guy's job.
Okay,
wet down.
what's wet down?
So, you know, when you're watching a night scene and it's not raining, but all the streets are wet and you see that beautiful reflections of light?
Oh, yeah.
We go in and we wet shit down. That falls under the special effects department.
It's an effect, and it's special.
And we wet it down.
Makes a lot of romantic scenes tick.
Yeah. So they were doing wet down. And one of the guys who was doing wet down renovated my dad's house in like the late 80s, early 90s, and I remembered him, and he remembered me, and I'm like, how do I get into your department? He goes, you call this number, and you show up here tomorrow.
This is interesting because out of what you've told me, this is the first time you've said, how do I do this? Like, you went from department to department. This is the first time you asked somebody, how do I do that?
Yeah, because up until then, the guy, like Joe Lombardi, he died on that movie we were on.
Oh.
Of just medical complications. But his right-hand guy, Stan Blackwell, I mean, Last Samurai, Waterworld, right? Lives in Hawaii. How am I'm not going to get that connection. Now I'm in a town where I'm here. I know this person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're one
let's
degree.
work that relationship. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm there. So how do I do this? Well, you show up here. You call. You show up here. So sure enough, man, make that call. I spoke to Mike on set. He told me to call saying that, yeah. So then, you know.
Here we are.
Working a fire hose, you know, lifting boxes, sweeping in the shop. And then,
anything to learn.
And then it was crack.
Of course.
It was crack.
Like, what special effects? Like, I think this is a perfect time because I don't know. I know what I know, and you don't know what you don't know. So how far has special effects, like how much do you touch? Like, what is it in a nutshell, first of all, for anybody who's listening?
Basically, if it moves on camera,
yeah,
like from simply a door swinging shut on its own, that's a special effect.
Because you're forcing it to happen for the camera.
Yeah, and it's without actor interaction.
Okay. Where
So-
actor interaction is prop,
Yeah.
door swinging open, special effects, door being used as a weapon, prop.
Prop. Table full of things shaking and falling off, special effects. Actor taking glass, throwing it on ground or breaking, props.
Man, you need to do this
There
for the
is-
entire movie industry.
So the best joke,
Venn diagram, like, are you a director? Okay, down to here. Are you a producer? Down to here.
the best joke I hear about this is always when it comes to animals on set and horse shit, for instance. So when the shit is inside the horse, it's animal wrangler. When the shit is flying through the air, it's either a stunt or a special effect. When the shit hits the ground, it's locations or greens problem.
What happens when the shit hits the fan?
Then everybody runs because it gets messy. Because it gets real messy.
I'm sorry, you gave me a
I know,
7-10 split.
no,
there.
listen, you know, you have to take them.
We're a punny show here.
Yeah.
So,
So-
okay, sorry, back to you.
So I get my first in, and it's like crack. And shitty shows, I shouldn't say shitty, small French-Canadian projects, lot of B movie garbage.
Learning the game, learning how to make, learning how to deconstruct. Yeah. We here at the Reel Debaters, we will shit on shit, definitely. I just always equate it to less money, more money, right? Like, and depending on how creative and talented and how much ingenuity you have. I really like. You can take $3,000 and make Blair Witch and have a fucking stupid hit on your hands. You can follow it up horribly, but you can get away with it.
We were guilty of that exact same thing. So early on in my career in special effects, the gentleman I was working for, who was super cool, whenever like people had like their small projects that they were self-financing, and he was always like, you know what, this is a good little show for you to go learn. If there's something outside your skill set, I'll supervise, but for the most part, go learn, experiment.
Yeah.
Do. And we did this little shitty movie called Recon 2022. It was originally called Power Core. It was called Recon 2022.
Power Core.
It was done, I think the whole movie was done for under 100. I know it was done for under 100 grand. I want to say it was done for like 50 grand. And it was garbage. It was big, cool mech suits made out of hockey equipment that looked super dope. And they were space marines and there were zombies and we had cool guns and they shot shit and we blew shit up. And it was pure B-movie baseline great. It won at the London Sci-Fi Film Festival. And then we made Recon 2023. And then we made Recon like the next one and the next one. And the two next ones sucked shit. Like worse than the original one. We strayed too far off. But just to say that project of learning and getting to experience film and kind of being in charge.
Yeah.
And then
It's a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's a microcosm. It's all these different businesses because each department is a business because it's got a head and then it's got its people under it and they're tasked a budget and then they have to produce their portion. It's compartmentalized. Like that's a lot of shit going on. So to learn the environment, to learn your mark, I guess.
Yeah.
To put it in terms.
And so
Marc Reichel. I just got that. Now go on.
So the special effects company I started working for was not the biggest one in town, but we slowly, as cities change, at one point we were kind of top dogs in town.
Yeah.
And we were really lucky. We did shows like, we did The Whole 9 Yards.
I love that movie.
We did, before I got there, they did like Scanners and Screamers and, The Assignment and shit like that.
The Assignment. That's key. That's Ben Kingsley, Donald Sutherland, and what's his face from Benny and June.
Yes, and it was about that.
Carlos the Jackal.
Carlos
the
the
fucking
Jackal.
hitman, the notorious terrorist hitman.
And
I
it
love
was
that
almost
movie.
and I'd say that movie was better than Bruce Willis's
100%.
The Jackal.
The Jackal is horrible, even though they mention Winnipeg in it. And
Yeah.
it has Sidney Poitier and Richard Gere.
The other one's got Ben Kingsley
Right?
and Donald Sutherland.
Who's Canadian.
You know, and it was one of Christian Duguay's earlier films. You know, he then did Screamers.
I love The Assignment. I think it's one of the best, like mid '90s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. No, great movie.
and I mean they went to Russia and
Yeah.
went to Israel with it, and they did some shit.
Yeah, no, they totally did.
So he did those films, and then I was there for years. I worked for Reel, and we just started doing bigger and bigger shows. Like we did Covenant. The male witches who flew around
Yeah.
and shot powers and shit, directed by Renee Harlan.
Okay, yeah, I did vaguely, yeah.
Not the greatest movie, but some super cool shit. We had a whole burning barn in a studio and rain in a studio and people flying around, and then we did shit like we did The Woods.
The Woods, yes, that's a horror movie, right?
Yeah, horror movie.
Yeah.
We did Journey to the Center of the Earth 3D with Brendan Fraser.
Who's having a resurgence.
And who was one of the nicest dudes of all. One of those actors who you're like, man, I am really glad you're like this, because you're cool.
Yeah, it does.
And nice and appreciative and friendly. And you remembered my name.
That's, I think, one of the biggest things that comes from a set is like we know that the interaction will most likely be brief because it's expensive for all of us to be here. But in that brief moment, registering with them, right? And like I realized right quick recently, it's like, you know, I'm a huge fan of Brendan Fraser because of The Mummy, right? Like I'm a ginormous fan, but I have this image in my head of Brendan Fraser as the character from The Mummy. And that's such a rude thing to walk up to somebody and be like, I understand who you are because of this one role for 2.5 hours. So I've taught myself recently to like step back for a moment and be like, I wonder what this person's actually like, and not put my preconceived notion of you're the Mummy guy or you're the Journey to the Center of the Universe guy. You're just Brendan playing both of those fake people that could be nothing like you.
And you got your own set of problems you're dealing with, just like I do.
Yeah.
Right? Like people, oh, well, he wasn't very nice to me. Do you understand what everyone has their own shit. Actors and famous people are going through stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Right? They're
there for a job that they're also could be having a shitty marriage.
Yeah.
Rotten kids, whatnot. It's just a bigger, fucking more expensive scale.
Yeah, somebody's shitting on their bed.
Can't believe she did that. Yeah, man. Like, and I get it. Like, you gotta learn, right? And you can't go and do a big film and cost it more money because you're just inexperienced. Like, it's nothing against your talent. It's just you're inexperienced, right? And you build experience in these other shows to get you to the fucking stupid resume that you have today. Like, there's a reason why you're doing Tales from the Loop with Amazon. There's a reason why you're doing Nobody, right? Like, it's because of these laser shows with these zombies and aliens that are even, it's so funny because it's why you're here today off of the weirdest shit that you never wanted to do.
Yeah. And we just kind of started getting bigger and bigger shows. And we were just like the hot shop at the time. So I was really lucky that I just got exposed to shows, and I was smart enough to kind of know how to, I guess, growing up and seeing a producer, I was never intimidated to talk to a producer, to talk to a PM.
Well, it's layman, right?
Yeah,
you're
just another person.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine.
Who can give me $1 million for this show?
Yeah. But and it turned out I was actually kind of good at this. Like, I come from a hands-on background. I went to art school and I did sculpture and printmaking, and I was a bicycle mechanic growing up.
Fucking Da Vinci over here.
So, my hands are really my bread and butter in that. Don't ask me to use a computer, right? I don't know how to use it.
But ask me to blow it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm there all
ask me
day.
to make it come to life in a weird way.
Yes.
Right?
And I'm all over it.
Yeah.
You want it to breathe fire and spin 360 and all that shit. I'm all over it.
No, it makes I get it, right? Like I'm a talker. Talking's my thing. Like, if I can get you in a room and get you to talk about I'm that's where I shine, right? But like, I'm not a performer, right? Like, having done a couple live shows with this, I had to shake off everything that I forgot from musical theater and being a dancer as a kid, because I was like, stage is so foreign, but I've slowly come back to it. So I get it, and I want to know some stuff now that we know who you are, because now I want to know like what you like, what you do, how does it work. So first off, treat me like I don't know shit. And what's a day on set for you like?
A day on set,
Average, like
average day.
Yeah.
So, things that are also under our spectrum of
Purview.
responsibility is atmosphere,
Okay.
right? Like if they want, like you want to walk into the room and you want to feel like you're walking into your grandmother's, that one room in your grandmother's house that no one uses anymore, but still all made up, and every time you walk into it, you see that shaft of dusty light.
Yeah.
But it's not dirty. So we create atmosphere, and we have various machines that
you
have
were so
various
buried in a film. I didn't you don't realize these things.
like atmosphere. Okay, so some days that's all we'll do is atmosphere, and the DOP will be like, you know what, Mark? Can we get it just a little lighter? And you're like, yeah, no problem. And then so you got one guy whose job it is to hang out beside the monitor. I try not to do it anymore. I've got my longtime partner who runs the set, because the bigger the show, the less time I'm actually able to be on set.
Yeah, you have to do all the things that
You got to
make
make
it
the
to
calls.
set. Yeah.
You got to convince the fire department to give you the permit to blow up the car right next to the gas station. You gotta wheel and deal and shit. So, but like the difference in atmospheric levels might be so minute to what you're seeing there, but then when you go watch the DOP and the director monitor, and then you see it. So you have to maintain that for the whole day. And people are like, oh, big deal. Well, listen, every time the grip opens the fucking studio door, half our shit billows out, right? or oh fuck, it's too hot. Can we turn on the ventilation system? So a day for us, an average, not crazy setup day, usually starts with us being there about half an hour before to establish a level. Unless it's a new setup that we haven't been in, but once the DOP says this is kind of the level I want to maintain, then that's our goal, is that when he shows up and they show up, he, she, whoever, the DOP shows up, that it is at the level that they want.
Got it. You are a master of continuity. Once you hit it,
yeah, and
then you got to keep hitting it.
Keep hitting it. And then, for instance, when we were shooting outside at that location, it was raining. Okay, great. Well, now we're in studio and we need to look out the window. So can you put rain on just that window? Yeah, no problem.
And that's the rain scenes you've told me about, where you're doing a rain sequence and you just need it for one area.
Yeah. And then if we're outside and they want it raining, then we've got huge rigs that I need 4 cranes, Mike. For what, Mark? Well, I got to put rain towers in them. Why? Well, because yesterday it was raining and today it's not. And we ran out of cover sets last week. So they're like, fuck it, we're just going to go through it.
And then we go, all right, cool, see you in the morning.
And same thing happens with snow. If it's snowing on a Monday and there's no snow on Tuesday, well, we better make some fucking snow.
That's the title of your book, No Snow on Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, actually, my dad, I want to have my company line. My old man being an immigrant.
Where's he from? Where are you from?
They arrived from France, from Poland via France after the Second World War.
Got it.
They immigrated to Canada in 1958.
Okay, so yeah.
So he spoke English, French, Polish, Russian.
Wow.
So not the greatest on certain things, but he'd mess shit up like, I'm going to pass the vacuum.
That's
right?
adorable.
But one of his favorites, which I think is so great for me, is instead of saying we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. And so that I want to use. I think that's the greatest company slogan for an effects company. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
I love it.
When we do the sweatshirts, I will make sure you get a sweatshirt.
I rep this shit when I go to Walmart. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want everybody to know I look like I was on set. Burnt bridges, and then that's your slogan.
Yeah. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
Oh my God, that's so endearing, man. And like that's how I love finding out like why 87 North is David Leitch's production company, or why The Rocks is like 11 something because that's how much money he had in his bank account. Like there's always some little significant point in their life that's like romance. This is what we would do.
And then we do wind. We also do wind, right? Curtains rattling. That's us. If it's not really windy and they want wind,
Wait a minute.
we make
So you're
wind.
telling me earth, wind, fire, and water?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Even though we're not God, the director is God, we're really God.
Yeah. You bring the rain.
Yeah. We bring fire, brimstone, smoke,
How do you want it?
plague, pestilence, but also dumb shit like we're in studio and the actor's taking a shower in that scene. Well, who plumbs all that shit? Special effects.
Okay, so that's not carpentry and production.
Carpentry does everything, and then special effects brings the water to it.
Got it. So they will build you the area, and then you'll plumb it, and you'll pipe it, and you'll figure out where you want it to come from.
And how it's going to drain. We did in 2009, I went to Morocco to do Ben-Hur.
Oh,
Now,
like the remake of Ben-Hur, right?
well, not the good remake of
Yeah.
Ben-Hur. The slightly shittier for Christian television network Ben-Hur with Joseph Morgan and Emily Van Camp before she was anything.
Okay.
And
Like for this is for like the Christian network, right?
yeah,
Or
it was Hallmark or some Christian television network.
Hallmark Christian.
Yeah, in the States. And we moved 1.7 million liters of water through the North African desert.
I think that's the only time that's ever been done.
To build the pond to sink the Roman galley in.
Man, just understand that level, listener. That is fucking stupid. You're bringing water to an area that doesn't have water ever. So the logistics are we have to move water from one place to the other.
And all the tanker trucks don't have pumps. They're just gravity fed out the back.
Wow. So you probably got to put a fucking pump on the end to blast it out because
Oh yeah. So, and then we get asked for weird shit like stuff rattling's us, stuff opening on its own is us, snow is us. Well, snow is and isn't us. If it's real snow that's on the ground already, then it's the greens department.
Sure, yeah, because that's messing with natural already state stuff. Okay.
If it's fake real snow, whether that be salt, starch,
Potato flakes?
we don't use potato flakes anymore because of their effect on the ecosystem.
Really? Okay.
Animals eating them.
Oh, yeah, that's a reason not to.
And as soon as it rains, you got a forest full of mashed potatoes.
That's amazing.
I love it.
I think just bring me a fucking boat of au jus and I'll go to town.
Yeah.
I'll eat those garlic mashed potatoes away.
And so, but like salt or foam, there's a firefighting foam we use.
I've seen that.
that
I've seen
does great BG. And then there's crushed ice. We'll crush ice to make snow. Giant snow cone machines, basically.
Sure, yeah, it gets it so to the point.
Yeah.
Are you and Davin in set a lot?
I think Davin's first show was with me, or one of his early shows we hired him. It was Cult of Chucky.
Yes.
And I think that was one of his very first shows, and we had hired him to come do some foam snow with us.
Yeah. No, he always sends me shots too. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, thanks, dude. Like, I love the BTS # BTS for life. Yeah, no, he's fucking funny too. All you special effects guys are, you are very cool about answering my dumbass questions. That's the best part. 'cause
There
I'm
are
like,
no dumb questions.
Well, I'm building the world. I guess no, right?
No, because you know what? You'll get crazy, ridiculous requests from directors, from DOPs, from actors, from producers. And okay, let's figure it out.
I heard a story due to being a vendor, which I mean, like everybody who doesn't know already knows I'm at United, but I heard a story about Tales from the Loop and a sequence that they were trying to attempt with
The cold room. You and I were on the phone for weeks about bringing up that $300,000 setup
Dude.
from the States that thank God that hurricane or some shit came through.
Oh, my God.
Because my budget was going to be blown to fuck if that shit showed up.
Oh my God. When I found out they were like, we'll send trucks because this is Disney, Amazon, and whoever, they're like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. We'll just send our own trucks and ship this shit up here. And I was like, please don't do that. I don't know how this equipment works. But I heard that I don't know if it was from you or if it was from Smitty, but somebody was like, we only want this for like 6 seconds. Like it wasn't multiple shots. It wasn't multiple days of using this setup. It was just for this one. And the guy's like, I want Quentin breath, right? He wanted breath from The Hateful Eight,
Yep.
which was, I believe, done in, this is the stuff I think me and you were talking about. Someone told me it was done in LA originally.
Yeah.
But it was shot.
It was shot in like North Dakota in winter, and they tracked the exterior temperature for every scene so that when they shot the interior, they
That's
could
it.
match the studio's temperature to what it was on the day they filmed the exterior so that every scene would match breath, volume, and shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that's
Craziness.
minutia, right? Like that's that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you might get an asshole out there who's like, that's not the same breath. And you know, like you want, for the sake of the story and the scene, that is something at the same time, yeah, it would have blown your budget, but at the same time, I know you get it, right? Like it's art at the end of the day. It's giving you the experience that you stepped out of real life into a fake world. And as soon as you see that the breath isn't the same, that takes you out of the fake world.
Yeah.
And the director and all you guys work so hard to create that yeah, okay, I'm sure the studio's like, fuck, another $3 million, but do you want this to be a hit? Do you want this to fall into the ether? Do you want this to be remembered? Or do you want this to be the thing with the breath that everybody talks about?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be permanent either way.
Mm-hmm. But on that same show, I went and gathered real icicles. I had beautiful fake icicles.
What are beautiful fake icicles made out of?
Acrylic resin, vacuum formed PETG plastic, depending on what you need them for, silicone. I had beautiful ones. Stellar, that drip, that we camera tested with, that everything.
I think that's the name of the episode. I had beautiful icicles.
And it was approved. And then on the day, well, the Friday night, the icicle scene's on Monday, the director goes, I think I'd like to use real icicles, Mark. Okay, cool. So it's Friday night. I got to find me some real icicles. So I grab a couple coolers, some dry ice, roll a bubble wrap, throw it in the back of my pickup truck. And I'm driving through back alleys and streets. And every time I see a beauty, I pull over. I very carefully break it off. I wrap it in bubble wrap. And I place it in the cooler.
That's amazing.
And I'm driving down another alley. And I'm going, someone's going to call the cops on me. And the cops are going to show up. And they're going to go, what's in the box, son? I'm going to be like, that's ice. That's a shit ton of ice. And then, so, we get to the studio, and I've got all these icicles. Now it's studio day. I proceed to clean out the production office freezers.
So you've got a storage facility.
And I'm slipping these on bubble wrap trays, these icicles, so we can have real icicles on set. I've also spent a weekend collecting pollen because a director wanted... when the poplar trees shed in spring and you get those beautiful light pollen shit all in the air?
Yeah, I love it when I sneeze for 4 weeks.
Exactly. Well, they fell in love with that look.
Yeah.
And here's the fucked up shit, right? You see something on Tech Survey that looks super dope. If you're not shooting it within the next couple of days,
It's gone.
it's gone. We saw Birds Hill Park with snow. We saw Morden with snow. By the time we got to Morden for Tales from the Loop, there was no snow. We brought in, I shit you not, $40,000 worth of ice cubes. Ice cubes, not blocks, because all I could get was ice cubes.
Sure.
And we passed them through wood chippers to make the snow in Morden.
Wow.
So 70 to 80 bags of ice per pallet, 38 pounds per bag, and we had something like 100 pallets of ice.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we put them through 2 6-inch wood chippers. And every now and again, you'd have to be careful because your push stick would just get sucked in.
I know.
And then that pile of snow's ruined.
Good old fucking Vermeer,
Yeah.
just like
Oh, and don't try and catch that shit,
no,
right?
No, you're going in.
Yeah,
You're going in the
like
machine.
you just
That's nuts. And you know what? Like those old 90s pop-up videos on Much Music where like they have like facts that pop out. It would be really great to see a scene breakdown from a special effects perspective, and you'd be like 40,000 pounds of ice, and you just put a little balloon that pops
a
out and shows
director's
it.
commentary that's
Yes.
not director, a
Yes.
technician's commentary.
Yes. Why is it?
Ooh,
I-
there's a nice one. We should just get a few departments, stunts, special effects, another department, wardrobe, shit like that. We'll just watch a movie together.
That's what we do here.
Oh, I'm in. I'm in.
Perfect.
I'm in.
I love Playdate.
Awesome.
I can't wait to do that. But yeah, like you get the director, and I understand, right? They brought the whole thing to the finish line, and there is accolade for that. There is recognition of that, but it is a team behind that. The momentum of the director is from the team, and to rob commentaries from all of the head departments, right? Like, they sit down and they interview all the actors, they interview the producers, and well, actually not even the producers, just the director and the studio heads. But the guys like you and the gals like you that do the thing from your perspective would enhance a film's performance, I think, in ways that people could only imagine.
Because no one realizes, right? Like, people just don't understand what goes into it.
Yeah,
They
no,
don't realize that's all fake. Like
I
The
don't-
Mummy 3.
Yeah,
That whole Himalayan shit, we built that in a parking lot. All that snow is Epsom salt. By the fucking truckload. Dump trucks worth of Epsom salt.
but it doesn't ruin it when you like. I don't mind when I know how the magician does the trick. It's
As long as the trick looks good.
Yeah, it's all about the trick in the moment. I can know for days that wasn't really a real water separator in Waterworld. That was, you know what I mean? But like in my head, it looked like it was, and he was drinking his own pee, and that's one of the coolest opening scenes in the history of film. It lands you right where you need to be. You know exactly what's going on, and you know exactly what he's doing to survive just by taking a fucking leak.
It's an underrated movie, Waterworld.
It is. It's an expensive, underrated movie, but it's such an underrated movie.
Yeah.
I do not like giving it shit. I'll shit on the Postman all day long.
Really?
I will. I think it's just one. It's worse than Lord of the Rings in the way that it's a long walk. Like there's not enough action beats for me in the Postman. Okay. And I loved the extended director's cut of Dances with Wolves. I'll watch it all day long.
Because I love the concept of the Postman.
It is a great concept. The last guy carrying the last letter,
who's kind of reestablishing a network and
right,
pulling society back together by something so simplistic as a letter.
The premise is great.
Yeah.
The sentence to get the money is great, right? Like that's what you sell. But I just don't think it was. Watching everything else he's done, I'm like, where's the Kevin Costner that I know, right? Even the Bodyguard, he's just the bodyguard. It's not that actionable. But
Robin Hood.
Right? Everything I do it for you.
Yeah,
my
Bryan
jam,
Adams.
right? Mary Stuart.
How much ass did we get to that song?
No kidding. Oh my God. Yeah, I've had so many hard-ons to that song. Like per average, how many?
Yeah.
That's that. Anyways, when you look back on the things you've done, cliche as it is, what's one of the films? The recent ones, the ones that are shot here, let's say. Let's move you out of Montreal for a second, because Montreal's where you got your start, and I know you moved from Montreal to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And
Chucky, Cult of Chucky, for instance. Okay, so before Cult of Chucky,
Don Mancini's such a good human.
Oh, he is the nicest, coolest dude I have. Oh, you know what? I would work with him any day.
It's because he's got passion for it.
Not just that, but you know what? What do you think, Mark? Well, that would
autonomy.
That wouldn't really go down like that. How about this? Okay.
Collaborative.
Yeah. And willing to listen. Even if you say, you know what, it's not the direct. Give it to me.
Yeah,
okay.
Tell me. What I was listening to Bob Rock. I think it's Bob Rock, the guy with the big beard and the crazy hair, and he was talking about how when someone's like, I have an idea, and you go, no, we're good. We know what we're doing. And it's like, you could be turning down the best idea that you don't know just because you didn't listen. Because you listen doesn't mean you have to do a thing. But what you think a good idea is and not knowing how to decipher someone else's good idea until like you can't imagine what their good idea is until it's put into the ether. So you got to listen. And at that point, okay, no, let's move on. It's great to hear that shit like that's done. But go on, back to Cult of Chucky.
So I was just before Cult of Chucky, I was in Calgary.
Okay.
I did, and just before that, I'm going to give you a little backstory
yeah.
setup
Do it,
of how I got here.
Give me yeah.
So I'd worked for this producer a few times on projects in Montreal, around Montreal, and we had a very good working relationship. I did a shitty movie called He's Out There. I don't know if it's out. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't really know. But it was for Universal.
Okay.
For their lower budget, for their, I think it's their lower tier. I think it's under 10 million.
Okay.
I think it is of like their tiers of like shit.
Yeah.
And so I did that show for them, and great, wonderful. Then I got a call from the producer who was in Calgary shooting Dead Again in Tombstone with Danny Trejo, who also, by the way, one of the coolest, nicest dudes.
Machete.
Awesome. What a professional.
Yeah.
What a pro.
Well, he comes from the other side of the tracks. So for him coming into Hollywood, like he's very gracious and very humble. I can't imagine it being any other way.
So we started that show. I think I had 3 days notice. I flew out to Calgary. I didn't bring any of my own gear. I rented gear from a local, and we did this show. And near the end of the show, they said, hey, we're doing Chucky, this Cult of Chucky show in Winnipeg. Are you interested? I said, fuck yeah, it's Chucky. Right? That's another one of those movies that, as a person who loves film, I think Chucky is the largest horror franchise out there.
As for films that have branched into TV series,
just the number,
yeah,
I think because I think Cult of Chucky was 7.
It beats out Friday the 13th. It beats out Jason. It beats out Saw. Like it's.
It may not be the most box office draw, but the time span from when the first Child's Play came out to now, it's still going, and there's been kind of an update all the way along.
He's now giving it to the kids of today because the Chucky TV series is Gen Z, right? Like it's kids experiencing Chucky, which is a whole new take on it, right? Like there's always been a kid around for Chucky and for them to torment. It's actually a really good Chucky filter on TikTok right now for your kid.
Oh, nice.
You can just turn your little kid into a Chucky doll. But it cemented itself in the horror genre. Jimmy loses his mind for it. Like
I haven't seen it yet. I like to build stuff up so I can binge it.
Sure.
Because
Yeah, I just got, I think it's on Peacock or on Paramount. I just got one of the two. So many streaming channels, but so Cult of Chucky, you're working on it. Like what's like a thing on it that you're like when you see it on screen that was fucking impossible, or like that's one of your like crowning moments?
There is the scene when the skylight breaks. Chucky shoots the CO2 tank. It hits the skylight. All the glass comes down, severs the head.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
We did that shot. Like, that's real glass.
That's practical?
Yeah, that's practical. I've got test footage of it on my phone if you want to see it.
Wow.
Right?
Yes, I do.
And so we tested this shit over and over. The glass we built this whole slide that the glass comes down at the right angle, severs the head, it shatters, it's beautiful. We send test video from all angles. We get to set. The glass isn't breaking. It's bouncing off the bed mattress.
Oh, fuck.
So it's not really working. And so I'm standing off camera and I've got a gobo arm with the knuckle. And as the glass is dropping, I have to hit it just as it's making contact with the head so it shatters. And yeah.
How many takes?
We did it twice. After the one that actually worked, we only had to do it twice. The fuck-ups where it just slid and didn't break, we did that about 6-7 times.
Wow.
Because it's super fast reset, right?
Yeah,
it didn't break.
Yeah. Back to one, yeah.
And then the skylight drop we did twice.
That's awesome.
Drop box above set with real glass and sugar glass and plexiglass and a bit of everything.
Is sugar what shatters?
Well, the show didn't have a whole lot of money, so we ended up using a lot of just real It was a lock-off set. No one was around. We had it all safetied off, and we just dropped real plate glass
Oh, wow.
and let it break where it was going to break. And we had some plexiglass pieces because they wanted some hero pieces that wouldn't break.
Hero pieces. What's that?
A hero piece is something that's going to be, like they say, we want a piece of glass that's going to remain roughly this big and in this shape.
Okay, it's got to survive.
It's got to survive. Yeah,
Okay.
it's got to wipe in front. It's got to, we don't want everything to be dust. We want when they come in,
Cool.
see some big jagged pieces
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Okay.
So whenever it's like the feature thing, it's called the hero.
Nice.
It's the hero prop. It's the one they do the close up on.
It's the shield.
Yes.
It's okay. I get it. It's the hammer. It's
Yeah.
the lightsaber. Okay. All right.
But it's not the lightsaber he runs around in the background with.
No.
It's the lightsaber that when he picks it up and the camera's there over his shoulder, it has all the little bells and whistles on it.
Totally. It's active. It's working. It's the
Yeah.
thing.
It's the $50,000 lightsaber, and Buddy in the back has got the $500 lightsaber.
The one you just like throw out.
Yeah,
that you get from Toys R Us.
Exactly. Yeah. It's fine in the BG. They'll never know. They'll never know.
So like that kind of stuff, does that just come like, because I mean, you're on the clock, so your ingenuity and your quick thinking, I imagine, are relied a lot on being on set, because it's like, all right, well, we planned it, we're running, it doesn't work. All right, we got to get this going because this whole thing is waiting on our shoulders. That
I love that juice.
yeah, is that the inspirational juice? That,
It's gonna sound. It's a bit of an ego stroke juice.
I get it.
Right?
I totally
it's
get
like,
it.
okay, yes, we shit the bed, but now we're going to fix it and it's going to work. Or when they come to you last minute and say, can you give us this? And you're like, let me go see what I have in the truck. Right?
Okay, I got a question to ask you there, because what is quick and easy but stupid and awesome to watch? Like, what do you a trick, right?
Cobweb spinner.
Okay.
Cobweb spinner is the quick and easy, but I'd say one of your biggest bang for your buck things out there.
What is it?
So cobweb spinner basically makes fake. You remember in Indiana Jones when he's pulling through all the
Yeah.
cobweb spinner. So some people use hot glue. I don't like the hot glue cobwebs. I find they're a little bulky and thick. I use rubber cement. And basically it's a fan blade with a little canister on it with some very small holes drilled in it. So you fill the canister up with rubber cement, you put it in your cordless drill, you squeeze the trigger, it spins, the centrifugal force throws the rubber cement to the side of the can, coming out in little tiny things through the small holes, and then the fan blows it. And it lands on shit, and you wave it around.
Is this proprietary? Like, could we make these for the industry, or is it just like a known thing?
Well, I don't know how known it is, because I shot a movie in China called Outcast with Nicolas Cage and Hayden Christensen.
Oh, you made a Nicolas Cage film?
Yes,
Way
I
to
did.
bury the fucking lead.
Another high point in my career, because my father had worked with him many, many years ago on, I get the two mixed up, Bay Boy or Boy in Blue. One was Emilio Estevez, one was Nicolas Cage, and they're both about guys that row boats.
Oh, I've heard of that movie. I don't know the name of it off the top
But
of my
yeah,
head. Okay, yeah.
So it was kind of, and it's fucking Nicolas Cage, man. Like,
fucking Nick Cage.
right? Like, whether you like, you have to respect Nick Cage, because you have Leaving Las Vegas, Raising Arizona, right? But yet then you also have
Con Air.
Well, no, Con Air's pretty awesome.
Con Air's amazing
Con
in the
Air's
action,
pretty awesome.
but when you compare it to the art,
Yes,
to the tentpole, he became that star, right?
Yeah.
Like, those gave him Hollywood currency.
Mm-hmm.
That then you have The Rock, right? Losers do their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen, right? Like,
yeah,
those are epic fucking moments. But I get, like, The Wicker Man, let's say, maybe,
yeah.
or maybe some of the other
Lord of War,
Lord fucking
completely underrated movie.
Yeah.
Genius. Like, you feel for him in that movie. Like, you
you are turned into a bullet in the opening credits.
Yeah.
And you are shot through the movie at the pace of a bullet about this incredibly crazy story. That's really fucking true. And apparently someone at work told me that the arms dealer that they're willing to swap for Brittany Griner in Russia is the guy Nick Cage played.
Okay.
Like the real life version, Yuri, whatever the fuck ever, right? Which is crazy because it's like, oh, that guy's a real person? Like, still alive real person? That's nuts. The guy's still fucking alive. Anyways, Nick Cage movie.
So in China, they didn't know about a cobweb spinner. They go out, they have these beautiful frames, they find the cobweb, they tape it to it, and then they cut it out, and then they bring it over and they put it on set.
They do it with honor and patience.
And I'm like, you guys don't have a cobweb spinner? Like, what's a cobweb spinner? So we went to the local fucking, I don't want to say Home Depot because it wasn't. It was like a whole market, and every kind of kiosk sold different shit.
Wow.
Like,
It's like a super Walmart.
yeah, but of all independent little bodegas selling, you know what?
Anything.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So I got the parts, I found a little bike place to find rubber cement.
Yeah.
Bought a couple shitty plastic fans at one joint.
Sure.
Little cooking section to find a nice little screw top metal jar, and then I built them a couple cobweb spinners.
Man, I want to go shopping with you. You're like MacGyver for movies. Like I can just see you pulling shit off the the sequence in a movie when a guy's building something. You in real life, that guy putting shit into a cart.
FX, one of my favorite movies of
It's
all
so
time.
good.
It's so good.
Brian Dennehy and what's his
Such a-
fuck that clown.
Oh, yeah. Such a great movie. Such a great movie.
Watching a special effects artist work with a cop is such a funny premise, but it's a great 90s movie.
I would love to see that movie remade today.
Right?
That is one of those movies that I think,
Ahead of its time.
well, that would still work.
Oh, yeah.
It would still, it doesn't matter. Technology's just different now.
Timeless.
Now his shit's even cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, what is he using now? And it's him handing it down to a son or something,
Yeah.
right? Very Ghostbuster-y.
Yeah.
Requel, not sequel, not
I didn't
reboot.
mind Ghostbusters.
I loved Ghostbusters.
But the latest one, I didn't mind it.
Yeah, no,
I enjoyed it.
I was a fan. You know why? I think we were fans because Son directed it, right?
Yeah.
Jason stepped up and made an Ivan Reitman film.
Yeah.
And there's no one else who could have done it, so it totally worked. When you watch stuff, do you I ask this of everybody because I'm curious? Job site, hazard occupation, whatever the fuck the line is. Do you watch for stuff in film that your department does? Do you pay attention to it? Do you get lost in the film and say fuck it?
Bit of both.
Yeah.
When I notice shit that other people don't notice. Like, oh, you see that? See that chunk of push rod? That's what flipped the car. They should have put a little bit of dust there to hide that shit, or thrown a fireball. It would have masked it.
Okay.
And then, holy fuck, how did they do? Let me rewind. Is that practical?
So you're researching and you're also critiquing at the same. Where are you in between that?
Yeah, and I just love movies, right? So
yeah.
for me, good movie, bad movie, doesn't really matter. I'll find
It's pizza.
something in it. Yeah. I'll find something about most movies that I can enjoy.
Dude, I get that. I say the same thing. I'm like, I don't know how to really hate on a movie. Like, I can be like, that's really bad editing if it's bad editing, right?
Yeah.
But
Or bad lighting or
Yeah.
shit like that, right?
like really obvious Starbucks coffee cup in the middle of the scene shit that you don't need to be a film nerd or nut or anything to catch. Like, anybody would catch it. So the rest of the stuff, I can just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's not worth my time. Did it entertain me? Did I learn a thing? Did I have fun? Did I laugh? Did I cry? All those things. I'd rather talk about that than its epic technical failure.
I also find that I appreciate stuff more because I know the amount of labor that goes into it. Like these beautiful, long, winding shots where that's a Steadicam guy's been doing that. He's walking that. And what it looks like on film in reality to how long it actually took to get just that.
The little moments in between.
And oh, fuck, man, that's, that cue happened and this door opened for him and this transition and someone panned that light. Like, to see everybody, it's the first AD's the conductor, right?
Yeah, really.
And we're all instruments, and when everybody hits their mark perfectly and everything goes off as it's supposed to, it's beautiful.
Yeah, because it's not supposed to be. It's you're imitating. You're you're literally recreating shit out of nothing, and well, not nothing, blood, sweat, and tears and patience, but you're making it happen.
Yeah,
and you can't make the lighting happen without you, and lighting and electrics need everybody. Like it's just this fucking ecosystem of
it
its
is.
own.
Everybody's important, right down to the 400 PAs blocking people from walking onto set, emptying trash bags, making sure that stuff happens, because it's every piece is a cog in this massive machine that when you really look at it, it rolls at such an intense, like, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars a day gets spent.
Yeah.
And we only have 2 days in this location. Everything has to happen. We cannot come back here.
We made this a $500,000 day.
Yeah.
It's not a 7, it's a 5. If we need 7, we don't get it.
Yeah.
There's a lot riding. And I mean, calling that, like, I talked to some props people, and they've all mentioned, like, in the moment when, like, the prop goes to shit, right? And, you know, everyone's just all of a sudden, like, the look of a bunch of people who are all like, "What'd you do?" Right? Very Tommy Boy, right? Like,
Great movie as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
May he rest in peace, Ulf Early.
You know what? You know what's funny? He was the first dude to live in a van down by the river when it wasn't cool. Now it's like all the fucking rage.
Yeah.
I got my avocado toast, my $400 Sprinter my dad bought me.
And my Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fixie rider.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I only smoke Indian spirits because they're natural.
your department, is it, I mean, it's in my mind, from where I'm sitting, it's the most play outside of the actor, right? The actor gets to play as someone else, but you get to play with toys and gadgets and whatnot. What are some of your must-haves in your toolkit besides the spinner you were mentioning? Like, what's a good starter kit? I've asked Doug Morrow, who does makeup. You know, how do you start this shit?
You need a good haze machine.
What's that?
Haze, so
Like smoke? Haze?
No. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Whoa.
Okay, whoa.
Whoa, I fucked up, y'all.
Okay, so there's smoke machines which give you smoke.
Okay.
Right? That thick kind of, but that atmosphere or haze, you feel it in the lights. You don't see it.
Very true.
Right? And that's the one that DOP's like, you know what? I just need it a little softer. You know what? Look at that light right there. You see that light, Mark? You see the way the Clerks is illuminated? I just want to soften that up a little bit. So can we get just a touch of haze in here just to break that a little bit, just to break the hard lines on it? But I don't want to see it. I just want to feel it.
Wow. You have to create feeling.
We work hand in hand, and I think this is more so because of HD.
Sure. Yeah, TV's made you do it.
Right?
You didn't want to do it.
You know, back on 35, shit already had a nice film softness and
That thing that you can't get out of anything else but a vinyl record and 70 and 35 meter, right?
Yeah.
Millimeter. Like it is there, and it can't be taken out.
And I think that the haze and all that it brings a bit of that back, that softness, that
Sure.
that warmness to it.
It's tactile. I'm just feeling a thing that I can see. I don't know how to explain it properly, but I know what you're saying. Like and I mean, some guys like Peele shoots on film still. Nolan shoots on film. I know Sam Levinson uses film on Euphoria, and they're using these new types of like overlays. Like they shot the nighttime stuff in the day
for night.
They used
Big
an
deal.
infrared camera with film, and then they overlay it, editing, and it gives you this 2 PM, but it's 4 AM dark.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's so simple, but yet so expensive at the same time. Okay, so Haze Machine gives
you that interior atmosphere to create moods.
Man, you should talk to Shauna before you go because she's all about atmosphere. Like if you walk through my house, you'll notice there's a theme that she wants you to feel, and it's we love animals, but we also love heads on the wall of animals, and I love it. But like she's all about the zhuzh, right? That undefinable thing that you just want to see.
Like, for instance, in Tales from the Loop, the first episode.
Yes. I watched
The first one is the whole big winter kind of massive. It's the one Marc Reichel directed.
Yes.
Which, by the way, that man's body of work in my youth was, music videos changed the way I saw shit.
Sure.
And working with him was awesome. Just fantastic. But that
didn't Jodie Foster direct one?
She directed the last episode, and she's one of the most awesome people on the world.
Really?
Nicest lady, nicest person.
Sure.
We chatted about stuff outside. She told me about back as a child actress, like shit
doing
with the Lion.
Taxi Driver.
Yeah, and just, her love of Montreal. She speaks French.
Oh, wow.
We chatted. I wasn't gonna.
Talked to Contact? Fuck.
We went over schedule on that, and I had to go back to Montreal for a friend's wedding.
Yeah.
And I remember at the production meeting, I said, "Listen, I know we've gone over, but I have to be in Montreal for this wedding." Well, why, Mark? Well, because I have to be there, right?
It's my family.
I'm in the wedding party.
Yeah.
I'm not just I'm not a seat filler. I'm on stage. I'm presenting.
I'm not just one person at the +1 who don't get a +1 table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, no. So Mark's not going to be there. He's going to be at this wedding." Simple.
Just done.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
That's so great.
But Marc Romanek's episode, how it was kind of always gray and slightly overcast?
Yeah.
We just pumped so much fucking. Every day we were outside, we had smoke machines going, just creating that grayer, more melancholy, somber look.
It gave that farmland Swedish look that comes from that fucking gorgeous coffee table book that
has no stories in it.
No stories in it whatsoever. It's like Tales from the Loop is not in this book, kids. It's just inspired by.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it gave a tone. You're totally right.
And every time you're inside the loop and you're looking at that big thing, there's haze in there. And it's a level that they want, so it just reads. And then some DOPs don't want it at all.
Sure.
And then you need a good set of fans, because wind, right?
Yeah.
We do wind as well. Oh, let's make those curtains flutter. Let's make those trees flutter outside the window. Let's just blow shit.
And it's so impressive to me that there is a level of enough fan air on a tree branch to look real. Like there is a sweet spot, right? It is a fan and it is a branch, but there is this sweet spot that you find that off by a millimeter, it just looks like something's flapping against it, but back a millimeter, it looks like the wind.
Or you know what? If we turn it up, we got to back it up because it's to this, it's to that. You know what? Don't just
looks like a windsock.
Yeah, don't just pan the fan like this. Kind of give it a little like this. Give it a little up and down.
Oh, we're getting into the nuance of this shit,
right? Like there's all there's all this shit that comes into it, like how you waft the smoke in, what angle your smoke sock is working. Are you spraying it up? Are you spraying it down along the ground? Are you shooting it straight out?
Oh man,
what's the goal of it? And then you always got to go back and reference the monitor.
Yeah, because that's what's going to look like when...
Yeah, and I learned that I worked with Joe Viscoso a lot, and we became good friends, talk, weekly. He blew up the Death Star in Star Wars. He blew up the White House in Independence Day. His first film was Flesh Gordon. This man, he's the king of miniatures. The Bridge in True Lies.
I'm still at Star Wars, sorry. Like that blow-up shot when Luke gets the
Death Star. He invented that zero gravity shot, that famous Death Star shot.
Is he Industrial Light and Magic?
No, he's Joe Viscoso, king of miniatures.
Okay, but was hired by ILM for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
After doing Flesh Gordon.
Wow. Have you seen that series, by the way?
Flesh Gordon?
No. The ILM series on Disney?
No, not yet.
Oh, dude, when you have a minute, sit down. It's right up your alley. I'm firing everybody, and I'm hiring all the best builders and engineers and everybody. We're just going to fucking make shit. And sorry, go on. Anyways, Joe Viscoso.
And he taught me that, don't get roped into what the grips and the electrics and the carpenters and the peanut gallery says about the explosion on the day. He goes, you're not blowing it up for them. You're not blowing it up for you. You're not blowing it up for ego. You're blowing it up for what the camera sees.
That'll really change your perspective.
A big explosion to everybody who's 500 feet away looks fucking amazing. But on camera, it's just a big white fucking blur. You don't see anything.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to build your explosion to fill the frame or your effect. Whatever your effect is, it has to fill the frame. It's not, if the frame is only this big, your explosion doesn't need to be this big because it's not as intense because you don't feel all of it in the camera.
Oh, man, you know what? Yeah, you don't, I don't think about those things. And it's so interesting to know that because, yeah, like, okay, it is a tiny little explosion on set, but I'm filling 16:9, guys. I'm not filling the room for you.
Yeah.
So it has to look movie good, not good in real life. It's not real life we're trying to fucking make.
Yeah. Because when I blow up a car, cars don't have fucking 100 gallons of gasoline in them. They don't. Cars don't explode like that.
Is that your favorite thing to blow up?
No. Working with Joe, I learned, he explained the art of doing miniatures to me.
Okay.
Which I haven't done tons of, but I have done some. And we did bigatures on source code, for instance. Let's take source code.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's something most people have seen.
Yes.
And it's got some big fireballs and explosions and crap like that in it.
Every time he goes back in, he blows up.
Exactly. So we blew up sections of pipe filled with diesel and other ingredients that were scaled to the tanker cars.
Okay. All right.
We did those, right? Then we had the train cabin, and with large blasts of air and flash bulbs we did with all the living people in it.
Yeah, like when it would blow up and everybody would get like consumed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first part of that, when it first happened, like the first part of that wave of destruction, there are real stunt people, real actors. It's just large volumes of air and dust and all safe stuff.
Yeah.
Then we had a 1-to-1 scale replica of that entire train car, all furniture, everything, all painted black, with mannequins that were also posable mannequins, also covered in Nomex suits that were black, in the position of every actor in that train car.
So you're building a replica.
Exactly, exact replica, but we stand it upright. And then we shoot the fireball from the bottom so it rolls up, because the heat's going to bring that fireball right up in the air.
Because hot air rises, as opposed to hot air going long, it's going to rise quicker.
Yeah, so you turn that whole set upright, and then as that fireball hits the first mannequin, it wraps around them properly. And as it hits the chair, it rolls over the seats properly.
Yeah.
Then they take those two shots, and they do this. I don't know how they do that. That's computers. I don't understand.
We don't talk about computers.
Exactly. They're a no word. And so they take these two beautiful elements and they smush them together somehow.
Yeah, they overlay them and they mask them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's what gave you that super dynamic shot in source code.
Yeah.
To the point of, we got, the shop I was working for got written up in Cinefex magazine, which is like kind of the...
It's the magazine.
It was the magazine.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore. It's all gone digital now. But it was the magazine for like fucking industry shit.
Yeah.
So they don't mention my name.
But it's your work.
It's my work, and they mention Joe, and I got pictures, and I know.
You know, yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a thing to that. It takes a lot. Like, I mean, the world doesn't know. I talk about this all the time because it was like a big fucking dream of mine, but I got to do a thing with Kevin Smith.
Nice.
And
very cool.
I got to do this with him for Skip the Dishes, essentially, for an hour. And I had to let him go because they were like, we need to go. And I'm like, yeah, but he wants to stay. That's the thing, guys. Like, you can all go home. Just give me the next hour with him by myself. Anyways,
I'll get him back to the hotel, I promise.
Yeah. It was a Zoom thing. It wasn't even like it wasn't even a one-on-one thing. I lost my train of thought. That's okay. Point is that not a lot of people know that I did it. I did it, right? And it was about me being able to do it and not lose my shit, right? Not fanboy out, not freak the fuck out, not ruin a thing for a bunch of people who pay me to do a thing. Just do it. Lock in, do the job, walk away. That's that. I still haven't watched the full thing in its entirety, but I get to say I did it. So I know what you're saying when it comes to, it doesn't matter the accolades. It's nice to get the accolades, you know, but you get to walk around in perpetuity and be like, no, that's mine. That's mine.
And also,
and Joel's.
those who know.
No. The ones who hire you?
Yeah.
They
the guy,
know.
Yeah, the guys who the
Fuck
people,
you,
yeah.
Joe Blow. Yeah, no, totally. That makes so, yeah, man. That's a really, like, for such a crazy lifestyle, that's a good way of thinking.
And he said that we're artists. We paint with fire.
Yeah, you do.
Right? Everyone thinks we're just going to blow that thing up, right? But what they don't realize is it's not just pack it in and press a button. This goes off 3 millis, like, let's just take blowing up a really basic car explosion.
Okay.
Basic, we want the door to fly towards the camera. We want the car to go up off the ground a little bit, and we want the hood to go. Classic
Standard,
A-team, you know what? Which is one. If I was
Every
ever-
car bomb shot in every movie.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? Everyone just thinks, oh, you just put shit in and press a button. No, first, the whole car gets taken apart. There's no engine. There's no like, you strip the car of all flammable fluids, as much shit as you can get out that you don't need to have in there. Then you have to if the door is going to fly towards camera.
How long does that take? I'm sorry to cut you off, but how long does it, like, that doesn't seem like a quick thing.
It depends on how many people you have on the project.
Is it like when they take the plane apart in Lord of War?
Kind of, yes. Yes, it is.
If there's enough of you, nothing's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? But you can rig a car, basic car, if you, from start to finish, in under a week with like a couple of guys.
Wow.
Just a couple of guys.
That's so crazy.
Right? So you gut the car, then you go, so this door is going to fly towards camera. So we know that we're going to have to put a steel reinforcement plate that's smooth and flat on the door so that our mortar, which is filled full of damp sand, is going to hit that and push that. So it has to be reinforced enough so that the door doesn't just fold in on itself.
Sure. Yeah, because the blast is naturally going to do that.
And then we have to put a safety cable on it to make sure that it doesn't hit the camera.
Yeah, because it's going to camera.
Exactly. and then right, then it's, what do you want to start with? So you have to start the door moving a microsecond before so that the fireball has somewhere to go so that it travels out the car.
Because that's what you want on the shot.
And also, you have to control the explosion. If everything goes off at once, you have no control. Right? By staging it in microseconds, in milliseconds breakdown, you can have it so that the door, so the bomb in the story is in the trunk. So we'll start by lifting the ass end of the car with a kicker underneath there, whatever kicker we decide we're going to use. But then you also have to have a little bit of fire or some dust to hide that kicker. And then we know, okay, so we want to have that travel through. Now the door is going to go because it's the next thing in line.
It's a chain reaction.
So then the door has to be traveling so that the fireball can get sucked through the negative pressure that's created from the explosion of the door moving, the vacuum. So that now your door is traveling, your fireball's chasing your door to hide your safety cables that are going to stop it from hitting the camera. But the fireball has to be there or else you see the cables.
And if the fireball's not big enough, then you got to do the whole thing all over again.
And if the fireball's too big,
then
it hides the door. The door gets engulfed in the fireball, and then it's not as dramatic because you don't have this door.
So do you know, without a doubt, like a composer can hear a key ring and they're like, that's a D sharp. Do you know how much blast you need?
Yeah.
By looking at it because you've done it long enough, like you've got that. Okay.
And you test.
Okay, that was my next question.
We test.
You test? How many test cars do you have?
Depends on how much money you have. Right? Like Red 2. Red 2, we had the opening scene in Red 2 where John Malkovich's Jeep gets blown up in the Costco parking lot.
Yes.
So we did that. We had 2 test Jeeps. We tested one. They were happy after one test.
So you used the second one in the shot?
No, because they didn't match.
Oh.
We just get cars that are the same make, year. We don't care about color or anything like that for testing. I just need the same shape, the same weight, and this and that. I don't
Yeah.
care about color.
It's physics for you.
It can
yeah.
be an LX or an SX model. I don't give a fuck. Right?
Go on.
It's that. So then we have the picture cars, and we prep 2 picture cars as well in case you don't get one on a bigger movie. Some movies, listen, we got one take at this. That's it. That's all. We can't afford to buy a second car, rig a second car, this and that. So this shot will be what's called a one take deal.
Yeah. And the pressure's on.
Yeah. But so there's all these little elements that you have to take into consideration. The wind, the rain, right? Ooh, it's really windy. You know what? Maybe we should, we can't twist the car, guys, because we built it all. You
Yeah.
said the camera was going to be here, so we can't mess with it.
We have to work within the confines of what we've done.
Exactly.
Oh man. And I mean that's where I was talking to Tim Williams the other day, and composer did the soundtrack for Pearl
Oh, cool.
and Swearing Jar from Farpoint Films and all them. And he was talking about when he did Marvel. He did Chris Pratt, Guardians of the Galaxy. Did a couple scenes in there, and Marvel will be like, "Can we just do this, this, and this?" And he was like, you can't. Like, I have to write a new thing, right? We can't chop it out because it doesn't line up. And it seems that's the same. Like, you've got once you've built it, everybody came, but now it has to be done this way.
Yeah.
And then that's where it gets creative, I would imagine, to get yourself out of a jam if you want to try something new.
Yeah, and then on the day, well, what can we do?
Yeah, day of, right? Like you were saying.
We can twist it 3/4, but we can't go 90. I'll go 45. I won't go 90.
And is that where, I want 90. 45 is safe. 90 is dangerous. These are where those moments, I would imagine, come
Because
into
at
play.
the end of the day, right, I don't want to, it's only a fucking movie and it's only a job. I don't want to kill anybody.
No.
People die on film sets a lot, like more than people realize.
Yeah, and if it's not a name, it gets buried.
Yeah.
So don't think that, stuff like Rust that's happening more often. It's just not reported on.
I actually worked with that
She was
DOP.
here.
Yeah, she was here.
Yeah. What was she here for? She was here for a horror movie,
Time
right?
Cut.
That's it. Yeah.
It's not really a horror movie.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not going to say that too loud.
Okay. All right. We can. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah.
I heard she's a treat.
Yeah.
Lovely lady.
Yeah, and I've seen accidents on set. I've seen people get severely injured. I've seen people get trampled by horses.
Wow.
Yeah.
And shit does happen, but when you go back over it and you're like, well, we didn't have a plan. We didn't have safety in mind, and we didn't block it, and maybe we didn't talk to stunts long enough, and we only had a day to do this. Maybe we shouldn't have done it if we didn't have enough time. Like, all those things come into play. But if you can communicate well, then you can get that shit done, I would imagine. And at the end of the day, those are those moments, right?
Like, I think I'd have to quit. I think I'd retire. If I killed somebody, I'd retire. Through my negligence, if I killed somebody, I'd retire.
The shame that would come with that, what do you do? What do you do, right? But I mean, I know you, like, we have more of a working relationship than a personal one, but after sitting here with you for 2 hours, like, I can tell it would just break your heart, and it is such a fucking shame, because you're right. It's just a movie. As much as it is a fucking movie, it's just a movie.
Yeah. It's made to entertain you.
Not at the cost of someone's life, right? Like, there was that one, they were doing the Allman Brothers story, and they were shooting on that railroad track, and then they didn't check if there was a scheduled train, and they couldn't get off in time, and they got run. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You couldn't check the schedule?
Yeah.
Like, are we not? What are we doing here? Who are we hiring? Right?
Movie Timeline. You remember that movie, Paul Walker Timeline?
Yes. Yeah. He did shoot. Didn't he shoot that here?
It was shot in Canada. It was shot in Montreal. I think
Okay.
they did part of it here. I think they came out here for an element.
They came out here for, I think, some car stuff, because I remember him being here at the time. But go on. Yeah.
That movie Timeline. A fucking guy was killed driving an ATV when it hit a minibus because of overworked, long commutes. Right? Fuck, man.
It's but there are certain people in the higher up, high up, called the studio, who like to go, it doesn't matter, right? Because you're so far removed from that shit that, and I'm not painting everybody with a brush. I'm just saying people. There's bad apples everywhere.
Yep.
I want to end on this before I let you go, because a lot of you've done so much. Like you're coming back, obviously. First of all, I'd love to have you back.
Oh
here.
yeah, and anytime you want, I'll come. Great time.
Okay.
I'll come sit, hang out with anybody. Just
Bring
of us,
some friends.
whatever. You
Or
know?
us. You can come with the guys. Like you're going to teach us a thing. I can tell you that. But when you came here, I know this film community. I don't think it's like anything else in the world. I don't work in the industry as you do. I'm a watcher and I'm a vendor. So I want to inform the listener here, I'm very far removed. I know you love me because I get you what you need and we have this great thing, but I just want to state for the record.
I like working with professionals.
Oh.
No, seriously. Because
That's on record, ladies and gentlemen.
we work in a crazy industry, and I'm fortunate enough to work with someone who's not in the industry who understands it.
Yeah.
Like when I say I need it at 4 a.m, or I call your personal cell phone and I know I've woken you up, and I go, dude, I don't know where the keys are. And you're like, hold on. Let me make a call. Let me whatever. You know what? Fuck it. I'll just have another machine dropped off right now.
Yeah. That's just easier.
Like that to me is such an ace to have in your hand, that just to know that, because this business is about your Rolodex.
Yeah, it is. I've known that. Like I handle you guys with care because it is a passion of mine on the side, and to get to do it like this with you, I'm just like, yeah, I know it. I know my little fucking helping hand makes it on screen in some way, not creatively, but it saves time or money or whatever. And I know that shit counts for something. So, hey, great. If I can help you in that regard, sure. Doesn't matter. It's no skin off my back. And I love doing it. But coming here, there is a thing here that I don't think exists in Vancouver and Toronto. And those are great places to work. I'm sure you've worked all over the world, so you would know. But there's a thing here, and I don't know if it's size. I don't know if it's talent. I don't know. I know it's talent, but I don't know why it's such a unique and tight and well-oiled community of you guys. And I'm just wondering what your perspective of working in Manitoba film is.
You know, when I came here at first, I didn't really know much about Winnipeg. It's kind of a flyover city, right?
Oh, it is.
When
I hate
look
not
at
flying
Winnipeg,
over it when I'm coming home.
But when you look at Winnipeg's history, right?
Sure.
If it wasn't for, I believe it was the Panama Canal, Winnipeg would have, up until the Panama Canal was built, Winnipeg was the spot. The first national ballet in North America was here in Winnipeg, the Winnipeg National Ballet, right? The arts and culture scene that was in Winnipeg long time ago, like I'm talking early, just like 1900s and
Sure,
all
yeah.
that.
Last 100 years, yeah.
Last 100 years, Winnipeg is a substantial city. Like it's got breathtaking architecture, that it's got some of the best examples of Chicago architecture are here.
That are still like kept alive.
Kept alive. Yeah. There is a very active artistic community here, both musically. Like you look at the bands, Canadian bands that come from fucking Winnipeg.
Guess who?
You know?
Jet Set Satellite.
You know, even pop like Chantal Creviat.
Chantal Kreviazek, yeah.
Yeah, and on and on and on.
Neil Young, if you consider him from Winnipeg.
Right?
Yeah. No, there's a long laundry list of talent that comes out of here.
There's arts and there's theater and there's culture here because it's an old city.
You come from old Montreal.
Right? You walk through the Exchange District, you have that feel that this is old. There's history.
It's trapped in time, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so when I first came here to work, my first experience was Cult of Chucky. I met the people. I saw the one studio we have in town, you know, the MPC.
Yeah.
But everyone I spoke to knew their shit. Right? And it's a small community. I'd say there's like 2 really great crews here, and then there's some crews that are developing, and we're building the talent, and people are learning.
Well, Film Training Manitoba is such a good thing for the city because it takes those C crews that you were a part of at one point, right?
Yeah.
And develops them. There's a training facility here that's like, do you want to learn more? Sit down with Mark and learn about special effects, and we'll do a 2-hour clinic on this shit.
You know, so I've been coming here and I've been learning more about the community and seeing the talent and the people. And because it's small, you have that family relationship.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's people I don't like.
Well, yeah, it's every job.
But you know what? There's people in my family I don't like.
Yeah. You know,
Right? Like, I mean, there's people I talk to, there's people I don't talk to, there's people I would socialize with. But people are professional. And for the most part, they get the job done and they care and they have a passion about it.
Sure.
It's still, Winnipeg is still open and receptive. And I'm talking not film crew, I'm talking Winnipeg as a city and a community still opens their arms to us here. Like Montreal, now you can't shoot in old Montreal past this hour. These people won't let you shoot there. This won't happen there. Toronto has its neighborhoods. Vancouver, right? They've become annoyed with it.
Yeah.
Here, there's still a passion about it.
And I don't think that'll ever change because I think our size is what keeps it so interesting. Like it's this unique place with these cool backdrops that has this great tax credit if you're listening. Like all of these things that come into play. You've got government support. You've got another studio down the line, right? Big Sky's doing it.
And you have people like Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny Boyce
Right?
City, right?
Kenny Boyce cares about making sure this industry has what it needs and is given what it needs, but not at the point of sacrificing or selling out the city.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no way, he's not trying to fuck over the city. He's trying to help it grow. And I know just in my talkings to him when I first started coming here, you know what? It'd be great to have you here. And I live here now.
Yeah, I know.
sold my home in Montreal. I moved here.
I remember you were telling me you packed up your truck and you're
Fuck it. I'm like, I'm here all the time. I might as well live here.
Sure.
And I love it here, right? I really, okay, it's Winterpeg.
Cold as fuck.
You know what? Montreal's cold and fuck, and it's humid sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's just,
and there's all the political bullshit there.
Sure, yeah. Here it's a little less.
We have our own political bullshit here as well,
but it's not that political.
But it's not that political bullshit. It's not trying to destroy something bigger.
Yeah. No, and old Quebec, old Montreal. I mean, it was the first stop on the way over after the Maritimes. So,
But no, I feel this industry and being here, I want to see it grow.
Sure. It's your career.
Right? I want to teach people stuff because people taught me stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I was so lucky. Joe never said, I won't tell you how to do that. Neil Corbell never said, I won't tell you how to do that. Hey, Neil, what's that tool? Where did you get that firing box from? I want one. Oh, here's the contact. Call them, drop my name.
Yeah, see, and I think that's starting to happen a lot more. You're in the industry, I'm not, but from an outsider, I think the knowledge tree is starting to get shook and more stuff is being shared because like it is this gated community, right? The industry is a gated community, not the Winnipeg industry, and it's the other side of the rope, right? Yep. And if you give away a cheat code, that might be a job you might not have because that person now knows the cheat code that got them the job that you essentially shot yourself in the foot over. And there's enough for everybody, man. Like there's more content than there could be right now. There's more streaming services than there ever. It's just going to keep growing.
Plus, in a city like Winnipeg, there's not a ton of effects guys. It's not about there only being one company. It's about there being multiple companies so we can do multiple projects.
Yeah. And
we all have to look good. The city only grows as a whole.
Yeah.
It takes a couple fuck-ups, and someone goes, oh, man, Winnipeg, ooh, fuck, had a bad experience there.
Yeah. And
so
that
you know
shit
what?
don't go.
No.
It stays for a while.
So, like, Casey Marcus, who I'm sure you've dealt with many a time.
Yeah.
He's another effects guy here in town. Great guy. Hey, Mark, do you have this? Yeah, man, I do. Is it rented? No. Do you need it for your show? Yes. Oh, hey, Casey, I'm short this. Do you have any? Yeah, I do.
A rising tide raises all ships.
Like, Casey and I are in the same building, but yet we're competition, but we're not. You need multiple businesses to support this industry.
If you want to have 10 projects on the go, you need 5 to 7 special effects companies to handle the load.
Exactly.
One of them would end up doing a bad job with all 10 because they'd stretch themselves so fucking thin. So yeah, no, you're right. Like, competition in this city doesn't breed competition; it breeds camaraderie.
Yeah.
Because you want the job that everyone comes here to get done to stay.
Also, Casey now doesn't have to invest in big Ritter fans if he doesn't want to, because you know what? I own a couple. But I also know that Winnipeg is not a city that needs 10 big Ritter fans in it. So if Casey needs Ritter fans, hey, Casey, mine are available if you need them. And vice versa.
Sure.
Hey, Casey, I need an extra couple pumps because we got a big water scene. Can I rent? Yeah, man, of course. So it allows us to fulfill the needs without all of us falling into that trap of spending all your money and then not working for 6 months.
Yeah, that's the other end of that's the dark side of Hollywood, right?
The bigger you get, the more toys you need.
Yeah.
But when there's no work, all those toys you're probably still paying off.
Yeah. There's loans. There's
loans. There's whatever.
Yeah.
There's lines of credit. There's everyone's friend Visa.
Yep.
You know, 30 days of free money, and then watch out.
Shit. Yeah, I'm out of town. Sorry, Visa. I'm not picking the phone up today. No, dude, you're right. Like, I see it from you guys. Like, it's this child that you all just take such good care of. Because you are all talented and you are all professional, and you answer emails from me when I'm like, hey, let's talk. Like, you want to share your passion, you want to share the story here, and that's half the reason I started doing this was because I was like, this is my cheat code into talking to film people who make cool shit, who stand next to cool people. Before I let you go, I got like 13 other questions we didn't talk to, but that's for part 2. We got to keep the listener baited here.
It's still early too. Still.
Yeah, no, I know. But you did a Nicolas Cage film. What's your Nicolas Cage story? Do you have one?
Nicolas Cage. Everyone, I've heard horror stories. I've heard horror stories about all kinds of people.
Everybody has a story about somebody,
right? My experience with Nicolas Cage was very chill. He was polite to us when we explained stuff to him. I don't know if you've seen Outcast.
No, I've seen more of his recent role of all the things he did to pay off the debts.
This was still.
Is this kind of in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll watch it. I watch everything he does.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
It was directed by Nick Powell.
Okay.
He was a stunt coordinator on Bourne Identity and stuff.
Oh, interesting. Which is a natural.
He directed some of Black Sails.
Okay. Oh, the Pirate Show.
The Pirate Show.
Yeah, nice. Natural progression for a stunt coordinator as the director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go second unit director, and then you.
Yeah. The set is yours, sir. And then it's like, I want the set all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I can have it? Really? Okay. But, Nicolas Cage was cool with us. We had a whole burning. We shot in the oldest Catholic church in China.
Oh, boy.
Which was in a town called Tianjin. Well, city, I should call it. City. China City, right? Tianjin. And we had these huge fires going in this church, right? Just getting permission was crazy, but that's a whole other side story.
Yeah.
But so we had these fires. Nicolas Cage has to work his way through it. He's very focused on his work. So sometimes the smaller stuff tends to just get lost in the wind, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And
that's their job. They have to capture the moment.
And the head of the hair department comes up to us and goes, "Listen, guys, he's got extensions in there, and they're synthetic extensions.
They're going to go up."
So one of Andy, my business partner and longtime foreman, like we've been at this 18 years together.
Yeah.
We've traveled the world. We spend more time with each other than we do with our significant others, right?
Yeah.
He is crouched down just outside of frame because it's cowboy framing, and he's steering Nicolas Cage by his hips. When he was getting too close to these fires, he would just kind of push and shove him around, right? And just kind of guide him through everything a little bit, just to make sure that, everything's safe.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you don't want the cage going up in flames.
But you know what? You need it on set? Great, I'm there.
Yeah.
I do my thing.
Well, you said you're not on set as much as you used to be.
But I'm talking Nick Cage.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
I'm on set. I do my thing. Great. There were no outrageous demands.
No,
I mean, I think his biggest thing is he wanted roast chickens for lunch, right? I want a roast chicken. Because it's an athletic movie. Sword fighting. He's running. He's jumping.
I want some protein.
Yeah.
That's not outlandish at all.
Look, I would have loved a roast chicken at lunch.
Instead of the sandwich out of the truck.
Exactly, right?
Dude.
Totally nice guy. Totally nice guy. You could talk to him.
That's what you like to hear, right? Like you just want to. I want to know the mind of Cage. I would really love to know his process, like just how he adapts to a character. Is just like it's like a chameleon, you know. I want to know what he thinks, where he goes, how he comes up with some of these ideas, because they're some of the most iconic characters that you and I will ever get a chance to see. And I'm so glad that he's like kind of floating back into, like he's on the radar. Right, I think he'll get a couple more big hits before he walks out the door.
I just watched that Weasel Wonderland or whatever.
Oh, Willy's Wonderland or whatever. Yeah. Where he didn't say anything.
Doesn't say a word.
Yeah, like,
but I'm okay with it. I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. I was like, cool, whatever. It is what it is.
And it's some weird Japanese method of acting, right?
Yeah.
Where he was like, I'm just going to try this because I can, and it's like that's so awesome that you're out of debt and you can do this kind of shit now, right? Like, yeah.
You know, the Seventh Seal. Guy doesn't say anything in that movie.
I know, right?
Right, and that's fucking one of the most iconic movies of all time.
Best samurai movie ever.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, we've been down this road before.
Yeah.
It's not new. Dude, we'll schedule a part 2 for sure. And I would love to have you back. And I really want to do that thing with like we'll critique one of your favorite movies from special effects. And we'll do a commentary here and we'll watch it on that fucking screen. We'll have some fun. And like bring your friends. Tell everybody about it. You know, like this place is open season for anybody in town. Anything that you want people to see that you're working on right now? Something cool that you just did?
We earlier in the year we finished a Violent Night.
Yes, you did.
Which we are so waiting for.
Oh my God!
Trailer.
December.
I am so waiting for a trailer. When on like our last day or two of shooting, they showed us a little rough assembly.
Yeah.
That they just quickly put together, no CG, and just here. And it was like, yeah, okay, I want to see this movie. And they did the same thing to us on Nobody.
Really? They gave you a rough cut?
At Rap Party, they gave us a little trailer spot. There it is. Check it out. Taste it.
Fuck. And that's so great, too, because, like, you know, you'll be working on something else, and 2 years will go by, and it'll finally come out. And you're like, I'm over and done that. So to get what we get on time is nice. Like it's fruits of your labor, essentially. Yeah.
And I mean, it was so great to do Violent Night because it was the same production like core that did Nobody.
Yeah. I heard about that, right?
Like David
Leitch, 87 North,
Kelly McCormick.
Yeah.
Roger Fires.
Kelly's his partner, right?
Partner, yeah.
Yeah, they're producing couple.
Yeah, producing couple. You know what? Some of the nicest people I've ever worked with.
Yeah, Leitch is a good guy.
He's so just one of the guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well,
but yet the fountain of knowledge and body of work but the humbleness of it and the whole.
Well, the rise so fast too. Like,
yeah.
he really came to prominence. Like, I mean, Deadpool is what I think did a lot for. That's him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But uncredited.
Yeah.
Well, no. John Wick uncredited.
Yes. Yeah. I hate those uncredited fucking.
I got him on my CV.
There you go.
Look at him
yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Violent Night. For the listener, it's I believe between Die Hard meets Christmas, but it's going to be way better.
Die Hard meets Christmas meets Home Alone.
Really?
Yeah.
And strong cat. David Harbour.
Yeah.
John Leguizamo. Alexis Louder.
Beverly D'Angelo.
Crystal Snow, who we love. We talked about she was doing stunts for Beverly D'Angelo, which like Christmas Story.
Yeah.
For her to come and do another Christmas film, right? I like that.
Yeah.
That's not taking yourself too seriously.
And just like such a cool spin. This Violent Night is gonna be up there that you're gonna watch with your fucking Die Hard, your Gremlins.
It's It's going to be your Christmas movie.
It's going to be a Christmas movie, but it's going to be one of those Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know people don't consider Gremlins a Christmas movie, but it is a Christmas movie.
But it is a Christmas movie. Like, Die Hard is less Christmas than Gremlins is, but everyone goes, well, it took place at Christmas in a tower during a Christmas party, so it's kind of a Christmas. No, it's not. But it is.
Gremlins, he gets the gremlin for
Christmas. Exactly.
Right? So it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, right, is another one of those Christmas movies.
That's the Christmas movie that we all love because we know we've had family dinners like that.
And who doesn't love when fucking the brother-in-law sprays the Pam on the sled and they go ripping down? And pumping out his septic tank and into the sewer in front of the house.
Good old Clark Griswold.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You have an interview I couldn't have planned. Wow, this is fucking fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us.
And anytime you want I'll come back, chat about anything.
That's your spot. Don't worry about it. You got real estate here now.
Cool. Appreciate it.
If this is your first time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. There's an end credit trailer at the end. It explains what the Debaterverse is. It explains how you can support the show if you like what you listen to. There's going to be more with Mark, so just subscribe. It's the easiest way to stay informed. Like, follow, whatever it is that puts us in your podcast player each week. If you could do that, that would be so great because these people work really hard, and it's great that you get to hear their stories because then you get to find out about some of the movies you love and learn more about them from the magic that came from those hands, specifically Mark's. So do that. Follow us, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Those are the three places, the easiest ways to stay in touch with the show. I will shut the fuck up. My guest has been Marc Reichel. I have been Michael.
Thank you very much, everybody, for having me, Michael. It's great. Looking forward to coming back and keep enjoying movies and keep watching movies.
Yeah, watch all the movies.
And get lost in that universe. They're there to take us away from shitty. They're there to make us happy. They're there to make us sad. They're there to stir stuff inside of us.
Yeah.
Let's just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Let it affect you.
Fucking wise words. All right. Watch all the movies, kids. Bye-bye. Say bye, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Spanish ladies.
And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, another Reel Debaters production is in the can. Thank you so much for listening. If this is your first, second, third, fifth, 20th time, thank you so much. But thank you to the first timers, the ones here who pressed play for the first time and took a gamble on us. If you like what you heard today, the easiest thing to support the show is just to subscribe. Hit the like button, the follow button, whatever's in your podcast player. Make it so that we're always there every Wednesday for you, okay? That would be huge. If you want to stay in touch with us, if you want to follow us, there's a couple ways to do that. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. We're slowly migrating to YouTube by putting all of the things we've ever put on video onto that site. There's some surprises coming this year that happened a while ago, but I felt needed to be shared because they're part of the Debaterverse. So the YouTube page is coming. But if you want to follow us, it's at Reel Debaters Pod on Twitter and Instagram. It's the Reel Debaters Podcast on TikTok. All of the links, all of the one-click away things are in the show notes that you've just listened to. So if you want to follow us there, that would be great too, because then you get to stay in the know of all the things that we do and what we're going to try to do this year and what we've done in the past, so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's how you stay in touch with us. If you want to contact us, it's thereeldebaters@gmail.com. All the spelling for all these things is REEL to keep with the title of the show. So you can send an email to us there, request an episode, want to call out one of us for being a goofball. There's places to do that as well too, like the Reel Debaters website. You can email us, or you can go straight to the website, rate us in Podchaser, it's reeldebaters.ca. And if you really, really liked what you heard and you want to support the show in some fashion that requires you spending money, well, we got a couple ways for you to do that as well too. You can buy our merch at the Prop Shop. It's a store through Threadless, and it's online. and you can order stuff. We've got tons of stuff. We've got our mass debater wear there. It's our signature, original, and only line. It's our logo on everything. So you can support us that way. Go to the merch tab in the show notes. Or if you just got $1 and you're like, hey, I want to give you $1 and donate it to your cause, there is a tab in the show notes as well, too, that says donate to the Debaterverse, I think. And if you click on that, it takes you to a donation page where you can donate like $1, $3, and $5, and you'll get something for your $1, $3, or $5. Any more than that's just ludicrous. Luda. So, that's just kind of what I wanted to tell you. That what I said at the end of the show. This is what you should listen to, because this is all about who we are, and now that we've gotten to where we are, we want to interact with you guys more. So these are the ways to do so. This is the way to stay in touch with us. Thank you to everybody, again, who's listened to the show. Again, you pressed play. You took a chance. That's cool. So without further ado, this is where I said I would talk more. So it's eggs on your face. No, I got nothing else for you. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. And watch all them fucking movies. Bye-bye.